Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye
Are you looking for video live streaming services? You want your church services to be on air? You do not know where to market your goods and services? At Sound Candid Talk, we deliver the best live stream services for your events, product and service launches, conferences, weddings, and marriages. Reach on us today.
Well, good evening and good afternoon from wherever you're watching us. Welcome to Sound Candid Talk, Open Forum Political Show, the show that gives you an analysis of the political landscape in Kenya and beyond and makes sense and reads lives for you. Welcome to the show. My name is Douglas. I'll be taking you through the show tonight. And before I even begin, I'm asking you to share out this video. Like and subscribe to the channel. We are still on Sound Candid Talk Live on YouTube, Sound Candid Talk, which is our backup channel, and Sound Candid Talk Facebook. Share the video out, like and subscribe, and welcome to the show. Sending out the link, inviting you to the discussion before I bring in the topic. Inviting you to come and engage with me in the comment section on Facebook, on YouTube, and everywhere. Before I begin, I have Dair Abdi in the comment section saying hi Bernard and everyone. Bernard is not with us. He's off for a while, but he'll be joining us probably tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, he'll be live. Willie Mwadilo says hi Bernard and all. Bernard is not in. My name is Douglas. Welcome to the show tonight. Now, Ruto continues his campaign trail. Seems like campaigns have begun officially, barely 3 years since the last elections. Seems like campaigns have begun officially, and we are back to our sunroofs. He's been on a tour of the northeastern region. He began with Wajir. Yesterday, he was in Wajir with a bag of goodies, top of them being a lift on the ethnic profiling or the vetting that goes on with the border communities just to ensure the security of Kenyans against foreign infiltrators. And that law has been standing since Kenya gained independence 60 years ago. And he lifted that. Some argue that it's a good thing for those communities who've struggled to get the documents that they need to secure services, to secure jobs, to move across the country, the region, and beyond. Some have argued that it's a little bit concerning for the security of the nation, and we are going to be dealing with a situation where Kenya is infiltrated by aliens or foreigners who might pose as Kenyans. That continues to spark a debate across various quarters in the country, and we're going to have a discussion of that too. And the general political landscape that is continuing to unfold in Kenya, when as Ruto tours the northeastern region, which is majorly the Somali community, I think the Borana, those communities from northeastern. I think that is his strategy against Murima, which he has fallen out of favor with since the Gachagua impeachment. I just want you to come into the studio and tell me your thoughts. Help me help us understand, help us educate, inform, and make sense of what is really happening. Dissect the strategies that Ruto is using, even as we gear to the 2027 elections, which is less than 2 years from now. Although we are already there, as usual, politics is our business in Kenya, which is funny because we should actually be working for Kenyans, as Kenyans right now. And, politics doesn't really add any value to our lives right now. We don't really need it. We need the leaders that we chose to be in office working. Now, top of our story tonight is Ruto has told off his critics that that they have nothing to tell him. He holds a PhD and they went to schools that he doesn't even know. And there's nothing that they can teach him concerning the vaccines that he has been preaching to the northeastern communities, which are largely pastoralists and nomads. He has told off his critics that he is highly educated and he knows it all. Well, I'm welcoming you into the conversation. I want you to tell me, is this the right way the leader should really lead a nation? Does dismissing all critics, what does that make him? Does it make him a strong and assertive leader? Does that weaken does that weaken him and diminishes his relationship with the people he's supposedly leading? Welcome to the conversation. I can see Shadizo, he's watching us. Nasema following. Shadizo, join me in studio. Nimetuma link in the comment section. Join me in the conversation. I'm continuing to invite you into the discussion. My poll question is out on our channel, Sound Candy Talk Live. I'm asking, are we officially back to the campaign trail? Are we officially back to the campaign trail? 9 votes so far. I sent out the poll question 22 minutes ago. 9 votes so far. 78% say yes, we're back to the campaigns officially. 22% of you say no. 22% of you think that no. We're just calming the waters. I'm inviting you to the conversation. Come and tell me why you think so. Engage with me in the comment section. We're live on Sound Candy Talk Live, Sound Candy Talk on YouTube, Sound Candy Talk on Facebook. Okay, so before I begin, before I go any further, let's first take a look at today's top story. Then we'll be back to have a conversation around this. So we've sent out the link in the comment section. Click on that link, let StreamYard configure your mic, your camera, and you will pop up in this studio, and we'll add you to the conversation. Welcome to the show.
Now tonight, President William Ruto says critics opposed to his administration's livestock mass vaccination campaign are fools who do not have the range to address him due to their lack of academic qualifications that match his. The head of state who spoke during his tour of Garissa County also seemed to direct his tirade at Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, calling him a dengue man who does not have livestock and therefore lacks capacity to appreciate the livestock vaccination exercise. Emmanuel Toh reports on the president's latest tirade that may yet again raise questions on his use of language given his high office.
Garissa, salam alaikum. Garissa takbir.
President William Ruto, whose trip of the northern Kenya entered its third day Thursday in Garissa County, is likely to again call attention to his use of language.
Tunaona wafugaji wamefika hapa kwa wingi.
In answering his critics who are opposed to the ongoing nationwide mass vaccination drive aimed at vaccinating close to 80 million cattle, goats and sheep, which has sparked heated public debate.
Si tunauza chai ng'ambo? Si tunauza maziwa ng'ambo? Tukiuza nyama ng'ambo iko makosa? Iko makosa? Sasa kuna watu wengine wajinga wanatuambia ya kwamba tusichanje ng'ombe yetu ndio tukose soko ya kimataifa. Sio ni ukumbavu?
The president, who spoke in Garissa town, where he led the mass vaccination exercise, appearing to target the Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who has been critical of his government's vaccination drive, calling him a Ndengu man, loosely translated to a mung beans man. Ndengu is a major cash crop in the Ukambani region, where the opposition leader hails from.
Wewe unaenda kumsikiza mtu ya kupanda ndengu, ati anakuambia usichanje ng'ombe yako. Yeye hana ng'ombe. Alafu mtu akuja hapa na Kiingereza na Kiswahili kingine akuambia ati usichanje ng'ombe yako. Ati kuna mtu mwingine sijui anaitwa Bill Gates sijui nani. Bill Gates ako wapi hapa Garissa? Kuna Bill Gates hapa Garissa?
In a quick rejoinder, Kalonzo posted a picture of himself looking after his cattle at his rural home, a response to President Ruto's claim that he did not own any livestock. President Ruto turning his guns to those he says do not have the range or the requisite academic credentials to correct him.
Na mkiona wale wanalalamika ni watu sijui wamesomea wapi. Si mimi niko na PhD. Si mimi naelewa nini inaendelea Kenya. Sasa mimi napata watu wengine wako na elimu kidogo kidogo wanajaribu kunifundisha. Mnanifundisha kazi gani?
In December last year, Ruto was on the receiving end for the use of similar language to attack critics of the program that had not yet been launched at the time.
Anybody opposing vaccination to eliminate FMD and PPR is simply mad and unreasonable and possibly stupid.
Earlier, the head of state was on the spotlight for claiming those who are opposed to other government projects were possessed by evil spirits. The president, however, continued with his unity call in the country, saying the agenda was unstoppable.
There are people who do not believe in the unity of Kenya. They believe that it is only one side against another side. Your Excellency, we want to support your call for the unity of our country.
Sisi wafugaji wote wa Northeastern, Isiolo, Marsabit, Turkana, uko wa Masaini na Samburu na Pokot, sisi tutapigia Mheshimiwa William Samuel Arap Ruto, sindio?
The former deputy president finding himself in the crosshairs.
Wakati Mountain ilikuwa inaimbanga Togo kiratene tugadhure Ruto. Hiyo wimbo tutabadilisha kwa Kisomali, tutabadilisha kwa Kiborana, tutabadilisha kwa kila lugha hapa Kenya including Kalenjins, na tutaimba pamoja wa Kenya na turudisha rais.
Kila saa wakifungua mdomo ni tribal utterances. Wanaongea juu ya kwao na wataka wengine wapita pia maendeleo. Hawa watu wengine pia tunataka hiyo kichao angalia tujue kama wako na akili timamu.
Emmanuel To, Citizen TV.
Well, there you have it. That's our top story tonight. Ruto is telling off his critics. Sema, what do people without cows and PhD possibly know about running a vaccination program? Those are sentiments of the president today. I'm inviting you to come and have this conversation with me. I cannot really have a monologue for long. If no one will be joining me in studio, I'll be forced to end this. But nimeona Shadizo in the comment section. Shadizo, I'm inviting you to, if you're in a position to join me, the conversation. Kuja uniambie what you think. Ruto anasema watu wenye wana ng'ombe wanajua nini kuhusu vaccination ya ng'ombe. Okay, so the link, I've sent out the link to StreamYard. If click that link. Lala, if you're out there, Eli, Mama Selina, Mato, if you guys are watching me, join me into the studio and have this conversation with me. So I'll just be taking you, in the meantime, I'll just be taking you through what has been transpiring. Ruto has been dishing out some goodies to the northeastern communities. Yesterday was in Wajir, today was in Garissa, and I think Mandera. I'm not sure if he's done with those counties. But I think he's still going to Isiolo and those communities, those counties, those northeastern counties. I'm not sure how many they are, but I think Wajir, Garissa, Marsabit, and so it's going to be there tomorrow too, I guess, and. It's just the same narrative, and I just wanted to remind you some of the promises he has had over the years and he has not fulfilled, and it's the same narrative that he's just repeating now. So that is what I'll be taking you through as I continue. So just wait for you to come into the studio and have the conversation with me, hopefully. And if you people will not have joined me, then I'll be forced to end this. I cannot really have a monologue for long. As usual, it takes two to tango. So up next on my playlist tonight, let's take a look at this bite. But I continue to call you out. Continue to ask you to just like this video, even if you're not in a position to get into the studios. Please just like the video, share it out, press subscribe if you're yet to do so, and share it out. Yeah. So let's take a look at this next video.
Kuna contractors karibu 7 ambao tayari wameanza kutengeneza hiyo barabara. Barabara kutoka Isiolo mpaka Kulamawe iko na contractor. Barabara ya kutoka Kulamawe mpaka Modogashe iko na contractor. Barabara ya kutoka Modogashe kuja mpaka Samatar ilikuwa under annuity. Lakini sasa nimebadilisha hiyo barabara, tutajenga kutumia pesa ya serikali ya Kenya. Alafu barabara kutoka Samatar kuja mpaka Wajia iko na contractor. Barabara ya kutoka Wajia mpaka Tarbaj iko na contractor. Barabara ya kutoka Tarbaj kuja mpaka Kutulo, si namna hiyo? Hiyo barabara pia iko na contractor. Barabara ya kutoka Kutulo kuja mpaka Kobo, hiyo barabara pia iko na contractor. Na barabara ya kutoka Kobo mpaka Elwak vile iko na contractor. Na barabara ya kutoka Elwak mpaka Gari iko na contractor. Na ile ya kutoka Gari mpaka hapa Ramo iko na contractor. Ile barabara ambayo sasa napangia maneno ni barabara ya kutoka Ramo kuja mpaka hapa Mandera. Na hiyo barabara kwa mapenzi ya Mungu inshallah, hiyo barabara nitaweka pesa ya serikali ya Kenya tuweze kutengeneza, na hizo barabara zote kwa mapenzi ya Mungu I want to complete so that hii Northern Kenya iungane na Kenya ile ingine, tutembee safari moja.
Anataja barabara wa Kikuyu anasema
Ndio barabara itoke Mandera, ikuje Ramo, ikuje Gari, ikuje Elwak, ikuje Kobo, ikuje pale Kotulo, ikuje Tarbaj, ipitie hapa Wajia, iende Samatar, itaremuke Modogashe, ifike Isiolo, iende
anataja barabara wa Kikuyu anasema
Eh?
Well, those are just some of the promises Ruto had for the northeastern region today, and he's a lot hasn't. They say the more things change, the more they remain the same, and a lot has transpired since Ruto was DP, and now him becoming president, him impeaching his deputy president, and the subsequent fallout with the Mount Kenya region, and right now reorganizing, re-strategizing ahead of the 2027 elections. But one thing is constant. It's the same lies and the same promises that he's been using over the years. And that happened today, but there's a clip of clip of Rigathi Gachagua. I think he was in Western in a burial or something, and he was or a church service. I'm not sure which one. And he was telling his audience that he was just cautioning Western, the Western region last week. Batuan, was it last week? Batuan or last week? He was in Western, with the same promises, and Rigathi was just cautioning the Western Kenya of the tricks he used on them, and that's typical of a narcissist. He digs into information about you. He masters what you really love, and what would really soothe you, what would really make you happy, and that is what he delivers to you exactly. And he's using the same tricks with the northeastern region, and it's the same scenarios playing out. And yeah, and yes, I just wanted to play that for you, and I still have more of that, but I'm still waiting for you in studio. Still alone. I'm still riding solo. Still riding solo, and just gonna keep talking to myself and playing out some clips. And when I'm done and no one has joined me, I'll have to call it a night. But you people can continue just engaging with. Yeah, you can actually engage with me in the comment section. We can have the conversation from there if you're in no position to join me inside the studio. Yeah, you can just engage with the topic in the comment section, like you are doing in the poll question. 17 votes so far. We officially back to the campaign trail. 76% of you say yes. 24% of you say no. Engage with me. Tell me why that is the case with you. And where is Kenya headed? Courtesy of having leaders who are more concerned about safeguarding their political seats and then staying in power, rather than them staying in power by actually delivering positive impact on the Kenyans that have installed them into those offices. So in the meantime, we're going to look at another clip, then we'll come back, then I'll have a monologue, then we'll have another clip, then we'll come back and I'll have another monologue, and if no one will have joined me, then I'll end it. Okay, but I'm still inviting you. Let me send that link one more time to see if Lala will drop in. Okay, so I'm sending out the link now. The link is out there. Shadizo Pro, I need you to come into the studio and help me dissect these topics tonight. But in the meantime, let's take a look at this this bites, then we'll be back in a moment.
And tomorrow, every citizen who will come to Nyayo Stadium, you will go back with a course paid for by the University of Arizona. You would otherwise pay $1,000, which is like 100,000 shillings, but you will go home tomorrow with a 16-unit course that you can learn, close your gaps, and be able. And you don't need any prior knowledge, and you don't need. There are no entry requirements, so long as you can read English or Kiswahili for that matter. I know many people. I have heard many people discuss about. Okay, you made promises, you haven't kept some of them. As we talk today, in 6 months' time, the stadium in Wote will be complete. In 3 months' time, the stadium in Chuka will be complete. In 3 months' time, the stadium in Moyale will be complete. In 6 months' time, the stadium in Kamarin in West Pokot, which is historic, will be complete. In a couple of months, the stadium in Eldoret will be complete. So instead of 5 stadiums, we actually went for 9, just to make it good and to make it better. Leo mnanunua mtungi ya gas shilingi 2,000, shilingi 2,800. Tumesema sasa tutaweka pesa ya serikali kupunguza gharama ya mtungi ya gas. Ile ya kilo 6 mnanunua 2,500, 2,800, tutaishukisha chini mpaka shilingi 500 ama 300. Munajua ile airport ya pale Suneka iko na matatizo, haiwezi kupanuka. Nyinyi mmependekeza ya kwamba tuwe na airport. Mimi nimekubali, tutawajengea airport. Mnakubali twende hiyo barabara? Hapa ile fiber optic imefika hapa maraba hapa chini. Na iko njiani, itakuwa hapa in the next 2 months. Itaenda mpaka shule ya Mete hapa. Kwa sababu hawa vijana ambao mko hapa, tumepanga ajira inaitwa digital jobs. Na mimi nalete kompyuta 100 kwa hii nyinyi vijana hapa mnanielewa? Hapa tutakuwa na kompyuta 100. Kutakuwa na wanafunzi ya kufundisha nyinyi. Nyinyi mjifunze hiyo maneno. Tumepanga digital jobs. Tunataka wewe ukiwa hapa Gigureneyu Taptengelei hapa, wewe huko Taptengelei, lakini unafanyia kazi kampuni iko Marekani na unafinya kompyuta, unaenda nyumbani na unapata dola. Ama mnataka namna gani?
Well, mimi niko Taptengelei, lazidi kualika kwenye show. Osam says President Ruto is not campaigning, but is showing Gachagua his true colors. Gachagua might have confused who ran the previous campaigns. 2027, Ruto is coming back with flying colors. So that is awesome in the comment section. Awesome, I'm inviting you to the studio to come and help me have this conversation. But anyway, that's just some of the promises we've been promised. We've been promised before. Okay, not me particularly, you, because I've never really voted. Although I do hold a voter's card. But those are just some of the promises that we've been given in the past, and they've convinced us to install them into office. And they're the same promises we've been given now. Although even these promises, they've not been fulfilled yet, and not even remotely being fulfilled yet. You know, we're still facing the same old problems, and we've even dug ourselves into more trouble since we installed this government. And oh, okay. Still, I'm curious to see how this plays out. How the political landscape plays out in the coming weeks. Okay, once again, I'm asking you to like this video and share it out. Subscribe to our channels, both our channels, Sound Candid Talk Live, which is typically our main channel right now, and Sound Candid Talk on YouTube. And we are on Facebook too. We are live on Facebook right now, Sound Candid Talk. Like, subscribe. Still riding solo. So as I wait, probably I'll send out the link. The link is still fresh out there, so you people can see it. I'm going to play another clip as I wait for you to join me. But I have Awesome engaging with me in the comments. Awesome saying, Douglas, how about the cost of living, the UNGA problem, the dollar rates? Did they solve this problem? Well, okay, the UNGA prices came down. Fine. Fuel prices came down too, but how was that? I have a better question for you. How has that impacted your life? Is your life better? Is your quality of life? How is your quality of life right now compared to, say, 5 years ago? Has it improved? That's really the question. But you know, it's really it's really subjective. It's really subjective. Depends on your political standpoint, depends with your current economic situation. It depends with how you choose to really see it. But if things were better, then I don't think Kenyans would be going to the streets. The quality of life compared to the Uhuru regime is so different. In what way? Awesome. Positively or negatively? In what way? I don't know. You tell me. Okay, that's Awesome engaging with me in the comment section. I'm inviting you to engage with me in the comment section if you're in no position to join me in studio. Can still have a conversation from the comment section. Okay. So in the meantime, I'll play this clip right here. I'll play this clip right here, and as I wait, probably maybe you guys will drop in to studio. So in the meantime, we'll just listen into this conversation that was happening earlier on TV. Bear with me.
Wakati nilikuwa inaimbanga togo kiratene tugadhure Ruto. Hiyo wimbo tutabadilisha kwa Kisomali, tutabadilisha kwa Kiborana, tutabadilisha kwa kila lugha hapa Kenya including Kalenjins, na tutaimba pamoja wa Kenya na turudisha rais.
All right, Member of Parliament speaking in Garissa about the road to 2027, and haven't we seen so much campaigns? You'd imagine that the election is in August. It's not. It's more than 2 years, 6 months to come, because the election will be around, is it 9th or 10th of August 2027? But a lot has been going on, different voices that we've heard. I want us to listen to what the president also said in that meeting when he was speaking about people that are telling him he will be a one-term president, but he believes his academic credentials really make a case for him.
Na mkiona wale wanalalamika ni watu sijui wamesomea wapi. Si mimi niko na PhD. Si mimi naelewa nini inaendelea Kenya. Sasa mimi napata watu wengine wako na elimu kidogo wanajaribu kunifundisha. Mnanifundisha kazi gani? Si tunauza chai ng'ambo. Si tunauza maziwa ng'ambo. Tukiuza nyama ng'ambo iko makosa. Iko makosa. Sasa kuna watu wengine wajinga wanatuambia ya kwamba tusichanje ng'ombe yetu ndio tukose soko ya kimataifa. Sio ni ukumbavu?
Okay. He said it as a question. Here new Pumvav. Is it?
It's really sad where we've gotten to as a country. Vulgar language, disrespectful language. You can imagine a child who is listening to the president and the children are looking up to them. to want to become the president or to want to become the politicians. So I think the country, we are really losing our values. The presidency, and not only that, just the presidency, basically leadership, whether it's within the Senate, whether within the parliament or within the governor, or even at the county level. The kind of leaders that we are seeing and the things that are oozing out of their mouths, some of the words are even unpalatable. So you can imagine we are cheapening that leadership. We've forgotten the values. And for as long as we're not thinking of politics anchored on issues, on values, on integrity, on respect, then I don't know where we are headed as a country. The moment we start cheapening institutions that we lead, then we start actually encouraging even the younger ones coming. So if the president talks like that, now you can imagine what is the MCA going to say or a member of parliament, and what are we telling the future leaders? So I think we need a moment like, kushtuliwa, like where someone needs to come and shake us to come back to ourselves and go back to looking at us as the values that we stand for, patriotism. If you look at the democracy that we've been talking about in this country, we're on a serious decline. And not just by action, but even what we preach, by what we say to each other. Even look at the politicians, the things that they're saying to each other. Sometimes you wonder, did you watch a movie or actually did it happen? You have got to pinch yourself when you watch the news and you hear what they're saying to each other. When it gets to vernacular, it's even worse. They use anything from, circumcision, like where I come from, where you hear people are insulting each other with circumcision songs. Where someone at a political rally sing a circumcision song to attack somebody and using things that you cannot even print or even say them in public. So we really have to go back to looking at our value system, to looking at respect. And we say respect can only be earned. And we have to respect these institutions by basically how we conduct ourselves, how we talk to each other, and how we address the people. Look at where the president was speaking. What do you think those people think about them? What will make someone even not to go on social media and draw the president the way they want? Because he's bringing himself to that level, and that's why I think we need to show that respect in the way we address issues and talk to each other.
And JB, so we almost at the mid-mark of 2.5 years into this time, if you had to count it from August of 2022, meaning we're just about 2.5 years to the next election. And it feels some type of way that we are so close to another contest. But also, we are a country that for far too long, every other election has had partners. People use a certain language to insult each other. We have had the words that were used by former President Uhuru Kenyatta against Raila Odinga, what was used by the current president against Raila Odinga. Now today they're working together for an election that is next week on Sunday. What should this be telling the electorate, and where are we headed now?
First of all, Sam, let me say that politicians in this country are a bad example in everything they do, how they behave, how they speak. The general character of our political leadership is a bad example. And listening to the president speak today, I'm saddened that just 2 weeks ago, at a place somewhere in Elgeyo Marakwet, when he was officiating the launch of Kenya Medical Training College, the president implored on everybody that we should take a whole society approach in addressing the issues, especially on morality in this country, and just in ensuring that our young people behave well. And here he is, 2 weeks later, now using the language that when people pick it online and do what we call in the street kukanyaga shingo, then it creates problems for them. Saying that, the mannerism of our politicians is something that needs a study. It does, because if somebody uses certain language on you to describe you and about you, and less than a year or two later, you people literally share the same bed, then it calls for a study into 1, your morals, and 2, your character. Because they've made it such a way that anytime they want to achieve a particular interest, then they're the best of friends. But when they're seeking certain positions and offices, then they want to create a perception amongst Kenyans that politician A is the worst that can ever emerge in our lifetime, and politician B is the best that the angel sent down here so that we sing Hosanna to them. I want to say that the electorate must be very, very careful. Must be very, very careful. And I think let's thank the social media space, because as a media, sometimes some of these things we tend to play down on them, but online you get it in the raw version. So look at it and please make a judgment. Ask, is this the kind of leader that I'd want to align myself with? Because the things they say, the things they do are clearly not about the interest of the people. So for me, I'll simply say that politicians in this country are a bad example to everybody.
So the president in December said, parents take care of their children. Who parents the politician?
Oh, we are maybe a very big national kindergarten in the country. Because you see, there is absolutely no one with a moral high ground. You know, the power to advise someone else is also earned because you conduct yourself in a certain way. But when your language is base, then you can't expect better of those you advise. So on language alone, we are doing really, really badly. And it's been sad watching this degeneration, because the older generation of politicians, and I want to give a cut of the Mwai Kibaki era, you know, from Kenyatta to, there were limits as to how far you can go in not just how you speak, but how you also conduct yourself. I'm really concerned with how the presidency is being treated this way. It used to be really rare for a president to pop out of a sunroof. And presidential functions used to be organized. You go to a venue. Not, and I think we can see some pictures there, Robert, which can show us what presidential functions look like this way. You see, there's something not okay about this. It's good if it's once in a while, maybe an occasional stop, but not the modus operandi of the presidency, because there's something it takes away from the office. But there's something also this image tells us, and that is, and you've seen this image from 2013 up to now, almost every week. We are a country that is permanently on campaign mode. I don't know when we ever schedule time for governance and their offices. To the point lately, we see very odd and a very odd trend, which I think anybody with sensitivity to how public resources are spent should have a problem with. We have this trend where now the cabinet has to follow the president around the country for cabinet meetings. There was a cabinet meeting in Kakamega.
Right.
Yeah.
And before that, there were some others that, you know, basically you have to follow where he is. I think this is financially responsible in an era that you're talking austerity. It costs a lot of money to move 22 cabinet secretaries around the country. And there's always a reason why there was a capital city. It's to try and organize you as a sort of a corporate entity that runs the country. You have an office. So you can't chase the convoy. You should be in one place, particular days, predictable days, depending on the wishes of the president. It can be Thursdays, Tuesdays, and you know that it's State House or somewhere. But I think maybe there's the excuse of renovations. I don't know why cabinet meetings should be on the road. There's something cruelly irresponsible about it. It's almost an abuse of the position you're holding. Because, the president can hold a meeting anywhere, but are you thinking about the implications? Are you thinking about the money involved? Because for a cabinet secretary to move, there'll be a driver, there'll be a security person, and some of them actually have chase cars. So you move quite a bit. And this is regrettable that we're in a permanent state of campaigns.
Right.
Now, just a few weeks ago, is it a few days ago, there were these accusations and counter accusations when the president was in Western because his critics said, oh, the campaigns have started. And he said, no, they have not started. Wait, not yet. Honestly, there's nothing to wait for. This is it. The campaigns for 2027 are on. And all you need to look at is the content of those meetings. You saw the lady speaking earlier, talking about the song that should be signed in 2027. Well, you can't isolate that and say, no, we're not campaigning yet. This is just development news. It's not. It's campaigns. They're on. 2027 campaigns are already going on.
Political developments in development tours. Let's watch what the president said while there, and who else has been speaking about this.
Siwezi kukubali vitisho ati sijui 2027 sijui mambo ya kura. Sasa mimi niwaulize nyinyi watu wa Mandera, mimi nimekuwa mjumbe miaka 15, mimi nimekuwa naibu ya rais miaka 10, ndio huyu mimi ni rais miaka itakuwa 5. Sasa mtu atanitisha na kitu gani? ati nisikue nini? What is it that I have not become?
Si tutaketi. And we must not let the people of Kenya down. People asking, wewe, wananiambia, wewe Rigathi, tenda tafuta marafiki. Kama huyu mtu ametuumiza namna hii first term, kwa bahati mbaya akirudi second term, tutakuwa tunavaa vinyasa. Sasa nyinyi tafuta marafiki, mtafute formula.
So that is the immediate former Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. He was speaking at a meeting with the DAPK officials when there was an opening of a new office along Langata Road. But he was also warning the people that were in attendance there, telling them that whatever he has been hearing was heard not long ago, but in 2022 in Mount Kenya. Watch.
Alienda kwenu siku 6. Kwetu, he was there 6 days out of 7 every week. Hakuna kanisa hajaingia. Hakuna barabara hajui kwa jina. Hakuna soko hajui kwa jina. And you would memorize, you are very impressed. Anataja barabara, Wakikuyu wanasema These men called a community that has pride, a community that's hardworking, that is rich. Watu wamesoma. He called all of us.
JB, when you hear such kind of language, he conned all of us. And this is a man that less than, say, 6 months ago was singing praises for his boss that time. And then?
And that is why I say politicians are a bad example. Because this is the same gentleman who fashioned himself as the truthful man. And everything he said he's the honest, truthful person that we should believe him. Months later, he's telling us it was a long con. So why should we trust him in the first place? Why should we believe in the first place? Going back to the president and the campaigns, I think the sunroof is William Ruto's natural setting. That's his habitat. Remember when President Uhuru Kenyatta, the fourth president of Kenya, said that ule mwingine akitanga-tanga, that is where they fashioned that tanga-tanga kind of movement. William Ruto thrives on such. when he's atop a sunroof and he's basically telling people things that are politicians. And you saw the clip that when he was in Mandera at an evening gathering, and he was telling them, I've been an MP for 15 years, I've been a vice president for 10 years. That's basically his CV. He is a politician. And that is what he does best. If you look at the number of times the president has been in Nyanza in the last 1.5 years, I don't think he's been to any other place as frequent as he has been to Nyanza. And these working tours that we now see that are fashioned as presidential working tours are basically to galvanize support ahead of 2027. He's basically reconnecting with his old network of 2022 and stoking them that, hey, the time is now, the moment is here, let's do it again. So I don't see the president on a working tour. I see a president that is campaigning. I see a president that is busy galvanizing a new support base for his 2027 re-election. For Rigathi, well, he needs new friends. That's true. And he will talk to anybody that feels William Ruto has not been true to the promises they made to them. Yeah, so he too, it's a fair share of the game. But then again, he must also remember that he was a truthful man. So he must also confess that he took us on a long con.
Confessions and truth and promises, Judy. For me, it's about politics of convenience. And the problem with us, the electorate, we forget very fast. When Gachagua speaks, he speaks and is like an angel who dropped from heaven to stand with us. But we just have to realize, and this is why we have a very big role to play, whether civil society, whether NGOs, whether the media, we really have to empower the electorate to understand what is their role and understand the power games, because it's about them. It's selfish. It's about me staying in power until end of it. Even Gachagua, all of it was the other side, like you said a few months ago, he was singing the tune and dancing, the lapdog of what is exactly happening. But now, because he's outside, he wants to lie to us that he's with us. And not only him, a lot of politicians that we have in this country, it's never about us. It's never about governance. It's never about services. And if it's services or governance they're speaking about, again, it's hot air, empty promises, saying that we are doing this for you, we are doing this for that, just to lie to the electorate so that we can continue voting for them. And one of the things that our politicians like to do is that we remain in the same situation, in poverty, without help, so that they can be able to control us. But until we have a society that is well empowered to know, yes, I can eat your money, but at least I get the leaders who are leading me. And this is something that we can only do if at all we are able to talk to everybody for them to understand and not to forget that it's about them. And that's why we say they have no principles whatsoever. I come here, I insult Kaikai, I call him all the manner of everything. I even want to kill him. Then 2 months later, I am here shaking hands and having tea with him. And now we are together now, dancing the same way and trying to undermine the electorate. So I think it's a high time that the people started becoming aware of their role as the voters, their role in demanding for accountability and transparency, and not forgetting what people did. What Gachagua was and what he is now, we should never forget who he was. Okay.
Yeah.
Linus.
What he is and what he was. And I think the running lesson right here is a very free civic education long course for especially Kenyan voters, because look at how politicians deploy each other's gifts, if I can call them that. Pre-election and post-election, Rigathi Gachagua was the administration's leading attack dog, and he was very, very effective. Partly because there's nothing he wouldn't say. And I think one of the things about politics is you have to have a really low embarrassment quotient. You just should be capable of saying things that other normal people don't say, and that is how Gachagua was deployed by UDA. He was the fiercest attacker of the opposition. Very nasty against Raila Odinga, very nasty against Uhuru Kenyatta. And now he's out and impeached. He had a very damaging speech at the DAP event because he literally deconstructed the president's Western Kenya tour. And it was a blow-by-blow suicide attack thing. He completely blew it into pieces. You know, I'm reminded of President Lyndon Johnson of the U.S., who said of Edgar Hoover. Edgar Hoover was a legendary FBI director and you know, quite controversial. And Lyndon Johnson said what he'd rather about Hoover, and he said, "I'd rather have him inside the tent pissing out than outside the tent pissing in." So that's Gachagua. You choose which side do you want. Which side of the tent do you want him? Because he used to do a lot of damage in government against the opposition, and now outside, he is very effective at destroying government from outside. And yeah, I've checked the time some, and we are within the watershed period. I can talk about Edgar Hoover and that tent incident.
Interesting. And of course, a lot of work has been going on behind the scenes. You've seen the former, no, not former, but the running mate of Raila Odinga at the 2022 general election, that is Martha Karua, reconciling with the running mate of William Ruto in that election, Rigathi Gachagua. There was a very interesting event that you saw there, replete with a traditional singing and, of course, gifts that ideally you would see them in a cultural event, making up, but also there has been questions or other voices from the political side of Kalonzo Musyoka and Eugene Omalo. They have been saying of their preparations for 2027 watch.
We will not leave anybody out. And as I said, there are others coming in. As we speak, you do not see, of course, Jubilee Secretary General here, Kioni. I believe we are all together. Let's not leave out anybody. This is the matter, because then you will give opportunity to Zakayo kuanza kusema wamegawanyika.
That we are starting a new journey. We are opening a new chapter. The formation of a new coalition that is going to form the next government of the Republic of Kenya.
So Linus, because on this table you have covered more elections than any of us, what is the possibility? Because William Ruto is saying that those guys who are speaking that they are going to make me a one-term president have never been presidents. What is the chance of this team ousting the president?
First of all, it's really, really early to draw any conclusions on what will happen in 2027. What has been constant about elections in this country is the shape. It takes shape about 3 to 4 months to the election. And that is when you see the rushing around of writing those coalition papers and entering into agreements and deals. And thus, it's what has been deciding elections for the last few years. Mm-hmm. Remember, in 2013, former President Uhuru Kenyatta and now current President William Ruto, it wasn't looking like they were going to get together until the last minute. And I remember one politician, let me not name the politician, maybe they're enjoying a quiet time away from politics, because they appeared in both coalitions. There was one in KICC and one at Jivanji. That tells you, they rush that way and dash that way.
Right.
And what we should not rule out is this is a game that is the art of the possible. Mm-hmm. In Kenya, it's actually possible for Rigathi Gachagua to be William Ruto's running mate in 2027. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how awkward it is.
Interesting. And of course, the other development that we've seen in the northeastern region is the president speaking about there will be no vetting, no extra vetting for applicants for identification cards. There's been a conversation brewing, JB, I don't know if you want to talk about it, that the voter population has been suppressed over time. At the same time, last week, we just saw a decision from the High Court indicating that the census of 2019 was erroneous for the counties of Mandera, Garissa, and Wajir, and even giving an order that the 2019 census should not be used by any government agency in as far as making certain decisions. That may have an impact on IEBC, may have an impact on Commission on Revenue Allocation, and generally the entire government in allocation of resources. What is this that we are seeing? Is it that it is time to lift this requirement? Is it for the sake of the citizens of that region feeling they are actually Kenyan? Is it political? What's going on?
I'd want to read largely politics from it, because in as much as the Kenya Kwanza Brigade says this was one of the promises they made, they've had time in office, nearly 2 years and a half now, to actually do all these things. A good move, you'd have to say, but the timing would make it suspect, because this is the time that we see the president trying to galvanize his bases and courting new friends for 2027. And therefore, in as much as the move is much welcome, what I've always said that this government doesn't do very well is communicating or explaining some of the things that they do. That the timing is so spot on that we are almost, or we've just begun campaigns for 2027. And this is one of the big moves that the president is making. Remember when he was in Western Kenya, Mumia's sugar farmers were given a bonus, quote unquote.
Where do you put the quotes? Bonus.
Some have been a business journalist throughout, and I know how bonuses are arrived at. Yes, you give a bonus basically when a company is working and is making money. Can't remember the last time I saw financials.
Bonus comes from profits.
Yes.
Profits
I can't
after
remember
tax.
when the last time I saw Mumia's Sugar financials declaring results. Remember, their shareholders who probably expect a dividend, because when you give bonus to the farmers, automatically you're telling the shareholders that, hey, there'll be a dividend, right? So we hope to see.
But can you give farmers a gift and call it a bonus?
It's a gift. Okay. It's not a bonus. It's a gift. And you see, somebody would want to ask, if it's the reforms that have been done in the sugar sector, then why haven't sugarcane farmers in Moroni and Sony Sugar Belt and Zoya Sugar Belt received their so-called bonuses? We hope they will do the right time.
Right.
So back to what I was saying, the timing,
right,
says it all. Yeah, the timing says it all.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know if leaders, you have any reflections on that, especially that clamor for register as many as possible in terms of identification cards. And of course, it's a human right in Kenya that once you're 18, you need to be registered and given an identification card. But also the thinking around this time, knowing the politics of numbers over the years.
It's going to be one of the most contested topics for the next 2 years ahead of the election. And this has already been kicked off by that very landmark ruling by the court that found that the census of the northeastern part of the country was not above board.
Right.
You see, that actually damages the credibility of the whole census. There's no way there's something wrong with the northeastern part, and there's nothing wrong about the South Rift part where I come from. There must be a problem. There are two things that I hope can happen between now and the next election. One is a sensible census, and the second one is proper registration of voters. Because I think the registers we are using currently, any normal, and two of you are better statisticians. I don't know about my friend. I'm not. But when you look at the second election of the rerun that Uhuru Kenyatta supposedly won. It points to you that we are dealing possibly with one of the most fictitious documents in the name of a voters register in this country. Because Uhuru supposedly got 8 million votes in an election he was running alone. And, the numbers were coming, on those screens. And remember, that's where the suspicion of the judges was in nullifying the first election.
Right.
Because they said, where are those numbers coming from? I think that question should be asked between now and the next election. There is a lot of cleaning of the voters register that needs to happen. Forget about onboarding the new voters. That is a right that must happen, and we should stop fearing each other. Anybody who is above 18 should be registered without a problem. But also we clean the register, because how much of the current numbers are actually genuine numbers? Because I did not see 8 million people voting in the second election in 2017, but there were 8 million votes that were cast in favor of one candidate in one election.
Right.
It tells you that electronically, we could be running one of the most fictitious shows in the history of this country.
And of course, last week when I spoke to the IBC top management, they told me that they are estimating that in 2027, there'll be about 28 million registered voters, up from 22 point something in 2022. The last bite that I want us to listen is that at a time that everyone is jostling for space and positioning themselves, some are saying they've been sent by supposedly candidates for 2027. Watch this.
Fred Matiang'i called me from where he is. Na wale ambao hawajui, amepewa kazi na World Bank kule Latin America, ambaye alikuwa amepatiwa agreement. Sasa ameamua atawachilia hiyo kazi, atarudi Kenya na yeye atakuja kuwa na hawa ndugu wetu.
All right. So many names are coming in every other day. What a run shall we have in 2027? I don't know, you have any final thoughts?
Yes. One of the things, like Lena said, it's too early to know. Things change very fast. And just even before we come to this point, of course, there's the issue of the system that even we put in place. For example, if you look at the voters register, it's always open for manipulation. Because I think from when I started journalism in Kenya, from 2006, these issues keep on being the same. The system is never fixed so that it's open for manipulation. For now, we'll hear everyone dropping their names. And for now, I think people are dissatisfied with what is happening. That's why we've been on campaign for the last 5 years. And
Right.
we'll continue like that until the next election. But of course, everyone will come in because they want to have relevance. You want to raise your demand, or you want to raise your profile so that people can see like you have a big following. And that's why you realize there are so many of them. You realize Martha Karua has already announced that she's running for presidency. You've heard about Matiang'i, you've heard about Kalonzo. There are so many that are coming up. And remember also the Gen Z, they're also saying they also want to lead. So at this time, all of them will continue shouting, but until we get closer to the election, maybe 6 months or 3 months or so, that's the only time that actually we'll be able to know clearly whether it's a 1-horse race or it's a 10-horse race. Nowadays, I think this is open. I think 2027, we are likely to have like 10 or 15 horse race. Yes.
Up from 4 candidates in 2022. Now, this has been the first episode of the News Gang in the year 2025. And I have to thank you so much, Judy Kabere, for making time for us to have this part of discussion. And Jamila is not here. So I take all the responsibility to decide who goes first for the final words. And for the new kid on the block, quote unquote,
Well, welcome back to the show, to our show. Just decided to play that debate for you. It's relevant to what we were discussing tonight on my show, and I think that has done justice to our topic tonight. And since up at this point I'm still alone in the studio, I think I'll just call it a night. And before I step out of the studio, I'll just take a few comments. My comment section has been active. I've had awesome saying, you know how life was during Uhuru administration. Everyone was on top of the roof with cooking pots on their heads, asking for the cost of living to go down. But now things have changed tremendously. Washi Oketi says, when did Kasongo get time to do research and write thesis? To get his PhD in ecology when he was busy on the campaign trail for 6 years. Why do educated Kenyans call someone who has a forged PhD degree Dr. Ruto? He must have obtained it from River Road University, Nairobi, Kenya. Awesome goes on to say Gachagua is a joker who is a very self-centered person. Why are Kenyans fooled so easily with Zakayo? And it's about time lawyers united and formed a bloc and quit ODM. We have been used for a very long time by Luos. Raul will never be president. I think if anyone who watched any of my shows, any of my discussions since knows that I've always been against big time or against tribalism. I think our politics need to change. We need to evolve past those tribal outfits that we wear when it comes to choosing leaders. We need to think beyond that and focus on more serious issues of leadership and governance, like accountability and integrity. And we need visionary leaders. We need moral leaders who will guide us into the next phase of Kenya that we have been hoping for, into modernizing our country, into giving us services and streamlining our institutions, and generally just improving the quality of our lives as Kenyans, and the caliber of our leadership and government. The unity of Gachagua, Kalonzo, Karua, and Matiang'i is something to watch. This will be the worst coalition ever formed in Kenya. That is awesome. I wish Honorable Raila all the best as he becomes the next AUC chairman. But there you see, chairmanship elections are up in 8 days, right? If I'm not wrong. Probably next week we'll know the fate of Raila, whether we are going to go to the streets to celebrate his downfall for those of us who do not wish him good, or we are going to celebrate his success for those of you who wish him all the best, like awesome here. Okay, have you noticed that all corrupt politicians have become sycophants of Ruto so that their cases of theft will be dropped by DCI? That is Washi Oketi. They may call it a gift, but this was an encouragement to the sugar farmer to work extra hard to produce more. Others who see everything negative will never miss something to criticize. It's normal. Washi Rao is a conman in spite of Ruto. Almost killed him in 2022 during demonstration. Honorable Raila is the next AUC chairman. Those who oppose can continue keeping themselves comfortable until the reality is realized. Elections are on 15th, if I'm not wrong. I will be there, no matter what. Thank you for those of you who've joined me in the comment section. Washi, Awesome, Dair Abdi was here very early. Laban says wishing Raila the best wishes. Wish him the best wishes. If he gets it, well and good. If he doesn't, we'll celebrate. And hopefully he'll come back and help us get rid of Kasongo. Although he bailed out on us when we needed his support the most. And okay, so that's a good place to end it. I think we've exhausted the discussion for tonight. Since no one is joining me, although Mato doing his rounds, not sure if he's gonna join me. Mato says, what happens if Rao don't get it? Wait, Mato vipi? Acha nikuwekee link. Mato, link do you hapo, I've sent it out. Laban says that's not his job to remove Kasongo. So I'm going to stick around for a moment as Mato sets configures his equipment. I'm going to play some clip here in the meantime.
What I wonder and what I want to ask the government of Kenya and the president in particular, as we welcome the move, do we have the capacity to protect against infiltration by persons who are not Kenyan citizens? Do we have the capacity to man and protect the Kenyan borders that are porous and that border Somalia? We have to be very careful. It's a very thin line to balance. And we have to address these concerns, because if you remove vetting and you're not able to protect the borders, then we can have people who are going to infiltrate Kenyan citizens, who are going to come into Kenya and get citizenship because there's no vetting anymore. So we must address that risk.
Okay, welcome back. Kenyan with love.
Douglas.
Sema bana, uko na PhD?
Niko na PhD ya siasa na ukora.
Siasa na ukora? Vipi bana, sauti yako iko chini?
Iko chini?
Na kama iko chini kidogo.
How about now?
I think that's better. Although
that's better?
Yes, we can work with that.
Okay, sijui basi nini inaendelea kama mnipati na hiyo. Let me see if I can add on. It's been a while tangu niingie, so sijui utaniambia kama inapanda.
Inaongelea, lakini I think we can deal with it. Vipi lakini bana, it's been a while.
It's been a while, man. I haven't seen you. Sijakuona. Unajua Ruto alitaka kuni-abduct nikatoroka.
Anaku abduct ukiwa penye kwanza nasikia mnauzana for some dollars.
I know, 750. I mean cheap money.
750, how much? 750 is good money. Back home.
$750 utafanyia nini? Hata uwezi lipa Uncle Sam peke yake.
$750 sio ni kama karibu 80k. Ama ni miss juu hesabu.
No, unachapa hesabu yako mzuri, lakini kule tunaishi 750 is nothing. Unapata mtu anauza mtu yao na 750. Hata Zakayo si aliuzanga nani Judas Iscariot total at least alitumia 30 pesos.
Lakini ukiuza watu watatu hivi hiyo yezi lipa rent.
Hata ikikulipia ni ya miezi ngapi?
Yeah.
It's utter nonsense. I mean, Kenyans need to grow up. When you wanauzana, I don't think it's right. Yes. Now, Miss Jakua, for a while, I know nilikuwa nimepotea kidogo. Sorry, don't ask me where I was. Na hata saizi nimeingia kaa nimechelewa nikakupata peke yako. Maybe you update me. Yes, I do have a lot of kuna vitu mob sana nimeangalia. Bado hata kaa nimepotea, si ati sikuagi naangalia. Kuna vitu mingi naangalia. But I just didn't wanna staki to change the topic of the day. Maybe when utaniongelesha uniambie where you are, what you were talking about, and then I jump into it according to you, and then maybe mwisho ni malizie na zile zangu zenye niko nazo which are personal.
Ni Kasongo tu anaturudisha siasa. Juzi amekuwa Western akiuza uongo. Sahii ako Marsabit. Ameenda kutafuta waria wote. Mpaka wenye wana ID amewaambia ID mtapata, msikuwe na wasiwasi. So that is what is happening in Kenya. Yesterday we were having a conversation. Umetukatia funding huko ya USAID. Sasa huku hatuna hata ARVs.
Good. Umeongea juu ya vitu mbili. And I hope I'm loud enough at least nikwe.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can work with that.
So umeongea juu ya vitu mbili hapo hivyo, and since tuko wawili, I'll just put my word on, my thought on it. Umeongea moja ya Mandera na nyingine ya funding.
Yeah. Those I think that's that is what is really happening with us. Yes.
So wacha nianze na funding. Funding mimi nasimama na Uhuru. Leo pesa si yenyu. Ni nini munaitishana na Amerika? Mkikatiwa funding munalia nini? Kwa nini nyinyi hamna funding?
Si ni nchi maskini bwana.
Maskini ya nani? Remember, I don't know if people remember, Singapore. We actually we funded Singapore.
Yes.
Books of history.
Yes.
And today, where is Singapore to the GDP of Kenya?
Singapore is a wealthy country now.
Inachukuaga hizo mafunding?
No.
Do we have resources in our country?
Yes, we do.
There's a time we had pen paper, and I've said this thing so many times here. There's a time we had pen paper, we had all these parastatals that even Uchumi, the ones that now, kama ingekuwa Gen Z movement, we could have solved those parastatals. Something like Uchumi. You know, Uchumi never came to give, was not there, and these parastatals were not there to give the government money. They were there to initwaje ile kutolea the burden, you know, to take off the taxpayers' burden off of their shoulders. That is what government is not supposed to do. Any business. Government is not an entity or a business entity. It doesn't even have a legal tender of doing business. What it does, that is supposed to actually help the taxpayer pay less. And that is why you saw when KICC was trying to be bought or be sold, however you want to do it, and you saw also JKIA also being tried to be sold or bought, whatever it is, Kenyans were saying no, because at the end of the day, that is not the property, that is not the business of the people in parliament and the people in government. That is not their business. They are not CEOs of any kind of business. They are there to actually propagate the country's best interest. And the best interest is what? Less taxes. How do you make less taxes? By actually making some business kind of thing that is going to happen so that you can pay less taxes, but the government actually, the government owned parastatals can actually subsidize the extra that the Kenyan people would do, would be paying. So the problem that we do have when it comes to that is that most of the leaders that we have, or want to call themselves leaders, they come in there thinking that that is their businesses. And that is why you find someone going to open up a parastatal on proxies to work with the government and make money for themselves. That is why they have all these choppers. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. And even these non-governmental organizations, when they come in, and even governments like the US, when they come in and give money to them, that money, you never see it. Why?
Yes.
Because they use they subsidize using that borrowed money, but take the government parastatals that is supposed actually to subsidize the Kenyan taxpayer to their own interest, and they buy them. Why would Didi Nyoro 2 years ago be the largest shareholder of Kenya Power, which is a government parastatal? Do you already see the problem there? And then at the same time, you're having people coming from the US and UK to come and actually give you funding for your power. So ujama amechukua hiyo kampuni, alafu then you go and ask for funding. We don't need any funding. Let us go broke. That's my take. I told you I'm going to say my own mind. No, any country should give us any funding as we speak. Nada. Let us go back. If we have Tanzanite, please, let's tafuta those people those Kenyans that are out there doing Tanzanite, bring them back. The day we wanted ICT, we went and got John Musheru from Google. He came back and he did a good job. Today now, who's the ICT person? Kabogo. What does Kabogo know about a computer? You know, that's the nonsense that we are having right now. And I'm just going to speak it. Okay, what was because I can see Lala is here. What was the other question? There was two. I've handled one.
Yeah. Yes. The other issue was just on
Mandela.
Okay, so for years, on the border, especially our border with Somali, the communities that live in those areas, they've been subjected to scrutiny before they are issued with documents such as passports and IDs. But Ruto has used that to win them over by telling them, now we are doing away with that vetting and you'll just be issued with IDs. There won't be that profiling that has been happening. So, okay, some people have been arguing that it's a good thing for them because now they'll get IDs faster. But then again, what does this mean for security?
Thank you. Let me handle that thing of Mandela real quick so that Lala can come. Let me tell you something. We are a country that borders other countries, right? We cannot put our national security down just because we border other people. Okay? This thing of Mandela Moyale has been there since I was a kid. I remember I went to school with somebody, a friend of mine that the dad was a DEO in Moyale. If you guys want to remember, there used to be Mashifta. And if you guys, lest you forget, remember the school that how many people, 176 were killed? You guys remember Bonnie Forest? You guys remember all this Al-Shabaab thing? You guys remember all these things that has been happening with our borders. A country has its borders. Matters national security, you don't play with them. Now, the thing that Ruto is trying to do is being cheated by Kina Duale that is going to go and let people just come in. Of course, let's talk about Isili. Isili, yes, we know it's, majority of them is Somalis. But these are people who have gone through Kakuma, they've done everything, they've naturalized themselves over the years. And even today we are deporting people. When you kipata watu wangapi you've seen wamechukuliwa Ethiopia, they're not even coming to the country, they're traversing to go through the country to go to Somalia. Unawapata huko Kilimani, wameshikwa wanarudishwa tena huko hivyo. So are you telling us to open up the borders? I mean, have they opened up the borders to us? And even if they've opened, is that what we want to do? Do we have matters national security? These borders, as a president, actually, I think at this time, and we are going to go to court to ask him if his best interest is in our country or other countries. Because if his best interest is in Somali, please, and akakai Somali, na achane na sisi. There's a decorum of way to come into Kenya, and there's also a decorum of how to go into Somalia or even cross a border. Yes, we know it's porous, but again, we cannot just say welcome unless it's a treaty between different countries. So has Somalia accepted the treaty that even us, it will be vice versa, that even us, we can go there, which I don't believe you want to go there now, but a lot of people work out there too. So what is it are we doing? Why is it? Now I'll answer that real quick. Mr. Zakayo has realized that majority of the country is not with him. And so he's realized where people do not understand the politics of Kenya is actually the border areas. Next is going to be in Marsabit, trust me.
Yes.
So he's going to look at those people who do not understand the politics of Kenya, who don't feel like they are Kenyans, who feel like they are just marginalized a little bit, and he's gonna try and rig as many numbers that can be done out there and say these guys are too many, whatever, and bring up some numbers from out of those people who will never even protect their votes. And that is what he's trying to do, because he understands it's over for him with the more urbanized Kenya. So he wants to go to the marginalized Kenya as much as he can. I don't know what he found in Mulembe. I think hapo pia ni kuna shida ilifanyika huko hivyo, he realized they are not as marginalized. So now he's gonna try and walk around the borders. And I'm telling you, that's his politics. Let me kwanza ninyamazie hapo unless you have another question, but I'm here. I know Mr. Lala is here too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matu. I'll come back to you, but let's first welcome Lala into the conversation. Lala, how are you?
Douglas, it's good to see you. Mato, I miss your voice, and I'm happy to hear your voice. And the rest who are in the background, I'm Jambo. I just got a little time to squeeze my my face in, and I had you talk about national security, and clearly, I think when it comes to, I think we talked about it yesterday, Douglas, the identity that are being handed out by Ruto, that's not the way to go, because these are things that should be ongoing. People getting registered after high school. We know who graduated from high school. We know who graduated from college. We know as education system has all that data, because that's how we plan economic planning, knowing who is there and who is not there. So to hear that some people don't have IDs, and the question is, had they been in Kenya, and if they are in Kenya, why is the government not using those data? And why is it that now they are given registration because Ruto has gone there? That's it, politicizing, what you clearly stated Mato national security, because when we talk of national security, we are talking of strengthening our armed forces, national forces, so that they can protect us, improving our cyber security, okay, which require that we have technology that's appropriate, computers, the Mato understand that better. We are able to detect and know who is here and not here. Okay, we talk about being vigilant against terrorism. That's part of national security. And the other one is protecting our election. It's a national security. So when we mess, that's a threat to our national security, a bad one. And so that's, and of course, protecting it from foreign influence from the Camagos. As long as Camagos can come in here, as long as we don't know where our system is, some place in France, whatever, after election, we don't know. As long as that is happening, our national security is compromised. So we may talk about national security. I don't know what we're talking about, because those are the key areas: election and foreign interference in our, security. And of course, the last one, of course, is violent terrorism, extremist and violence, that we see on our street, the kidnapping and all these things. Those are national security matters. So those are the key when you talk about national security that any country must look at. So when I hear people in the north, and Mato stated very clearly that these things have been going on for a long time. Okay, just the same way the election is going on right now. We don't even know how many people are there, how many people have been registered, and they made sure that they distinctively removed IEBC from the system. So it's like seen as something separate from what is going on. Okay, go and register, not knowing that we have also everything in a system. All the names, all the people is the system. But then we want us to go and register when already people already have their document there. All they needed to do is to bring their national identity or a driver's license, whatever it is that can identify it, because you have the data is there. You should be able to capture all the data of everyone. The only thing is that it has to be protected. US has messed badly giving these people Trump administration access, some of the political operatives, to have a document, our important critical information, and give it to this South African guy who actually we know very well that they got rich based on the white access to the resources, because there was, I think, a time when a black person could not own a mine, could not own a ruby, whatever it is, mine anywhere, diamond, gold, and others. It was exclusively a white thing. That's how they built their wealth. And so, for him to come and tell the world, or tell the U.S. and nationalities to have their access to their information, and the administration trying to remove people, when actually that's how they got the US, is a travesty. And people like Ruto seem to get killed from such kind of mindset, and that is wrong. So maybe I'm swaying in a wrong direction, but coming back to national security, I think Kenyans don't feel secure, okay? Because one, the economy is not working for everyone, okay? It only serves the interest of the powerful ones and the corrupt. So the majority of Kenyans are not getting the benefit of that national security. If some are disfranchised, they can't vote, they don't have, documents. It means they have been cut off from participating in the democratic process in a nation, and that is a national security matter. So I think Ruto is definitely a wrong person in leadership. It's so sad. It's very insulting to some of us who know where we should have been at this moment. And we have to tolerate someone damaging our system, creating anxiety and fear, which will take a long time to build back because people are very suspicious when there's tribalism and all these isms and there's no clear direction where we are going. We are threatened. So national security is compromised. And so I agree with you, Mato, and all of you 100% that people that this man has assembled as an indicative really of the kind of lack of knowledge, lack of awareness, and it's basically they are there to protect their gains and their interest. They are there to make sure that you and me don't get forward. Because if we know the truth, if we organize, if we work together, their days will be numbered. Okay. So it is critical for us to always talk, organize, and speak truth to power. And the only way we're going to win is when we are together and when we are brave enough, not like those wildebeest or buffaloes that are scared of one lion, and yes, they are so powerful. And so I think one of the things that makes us really sad is that the power is with us, but we can't put it together. We can't use it collectively. It's almost we are self-defeating kind of atmosphere. So we give Ruto power that he doesn't have. It is some of us that is giving him power because we are afraid of him. We talk of how powerful he is, how whatever is, when actually this man is not that powerful. Okay, power is in truth. Power is in organization. Power is when people know what need to be done and they do what need to be done. Otherwise, what we have is chaos, is a disaster, is a compromise of our national security, and the country cannot move forward without clear leadership and clean people to guide us and be example so that we can put this power together, this energy together, and give our nation what it deserves at this moment. So back to you, Douglas.
Mr. Chair, I know you cannot see my hand, but I have a burning question for Mr. Lala.
Please go ahead.
Mr. Lala.
Yes.
Matters national security.
Yeah.
And you've run away from that. The funds getting taken out. You didn't address that, huh? But anyway, maybe you can remember that once you do that, once you speak about that. But matters national security.
What's the question? Taken out? What do you mean?
When Kenyans are talking about that, the funds from Kina Trump, or the people being denied funds from whatever. But wait. That was not my question.
I will. I didn't intentionally. I will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know you didn't address that. But matters national security. If you are the president of a country and you're actually vouching for this borderline, I don't want to say Mandela because I'm not telling anybody yet. I'm not calling anybody anything, but if you're on those borderline counties and everybody else, all the leaders are addressing the public on the podium, why would you bring your car and address people from a car if you're really so confident in matters national security? What are you so scared about that you have to address people, from a car, while the rest of the leaders are addressing people from the podium? What is it that, I mean, do you see some issue there with matters national security? Because if the president himself cannot step on the podium, he comes with a car, yet everybody has been addressing everybody from a podium. Why couldn't he go to the podium? Why was he hiding until he is called his name? Then he comes with that the car and parks in front of the podium, and now he addresses people from there. What is it that they're scared of? Are they scared of somebody doing something and they have to take off real quick?
Mato, I can't comment much on that, but certain security details are placed around certain, especially around cars. If you are by a car, you're able to escape quickly. There are some things that can be done right there. The podium can also be secured to an extent on how the detail, how they worked on that. But the point that I want to make here is that security is so critical, so critical. The world is one, and we all depend on investment, or whether trade and investment. Okay, that is global. That's how country develop. Every country. Okay, and generally when business community, especially investors, wants to come to a country, politicians may talk, okay, whether it's Trump or whoever, and then invite those investors, to potential investors in. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter what the president tells those investors to maybe go and invest in Kenya. They will not, until they are addressed and they ask question. One of the biggest question: how sure are we that our money will be safe? If you build a plant in Kenya, how sure is this plant not going to be bombed? Whatever you see. So you got
we've lost
to
the audio.
You got to demonstrate that things are safe. But so if you are a country where you
can
don't
you
even
hear
know the
me?
people are not even registered, you don't even know who is a voter, who is not a voter, and that is far ahead. But potential
Lala, can you
investors
hear
are
me?
afraid sometimes to venture in some
Mato, can you
places.
hear
They
me?
may come to Nairobi, but they don't want to go to some other
I can
places.
hear both of you.
Okay, so the implication is big, is huge. Okay, so when Ruto is afraid even to attend certain ceremonies, go certain areas because of the fear, that is bad for even the nation itself. That's a security issue. That's a national security problem. The president should be able to go anywhere and be able to interact because he has the best security ever, or in a nation. And to imagine he's afraid, I pray that is something else, but not as a fear. But we do know there's a lot of fear in Kenya because of where we are right now. So I just want to make that serious comment that even economically, security plays a huge role for your nation. If your country is safe, I'm telling you, people want to come. They want to invest. They want to stay. They want to visit. They want to explore. They want to do things there. But if you're not, you're in trouble. And it starts with even that ID thing. It's really critical. Maybe I did answer you, Mato, but that's what I want to say. Back to you, Douglas. Yeah. So
I think Douglas was having a
that's
little bit of
my
issue hearing you.
contribution to the topic. Education, actually every sector of our economy, of our nation is impacted when securities are, people can't be safe. Okay, so there's just no way we can grow without safety. Okay, so it is a serious thing, and it starts with knowing the bad guys and the good guys. If your security has got no knowledge of who Kenyans are, election time, they cannot even be registered, then what are you telling me that you're secure? Okay? It doesn't matter how much you praise our Kenyan security, they still don't know. They don't know their people. They don't have that data. That data is needed, it's necessary. And those data have been asked by the US, at one certain point. We want those data, and they didn't have them. That's why at times our presidents have traveled to Ethiopia and those other places, the US president, but they don't come to Kenya because the certain data is missing. And these are serious matters when it comes to security. Okay, back to you, Douglas. Or Mato, back to you. I think
I don't know. Douglas was having an issue
public
hearing.
participation is also there. So
Yeah, Douglas, can you hear us now? I know he was having an issue. Lala, can you hear me? Lala, can you hear me? Public participation, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Douglas, I know Douglas was having an issue hearing Lala.
Step out a little bit. Go ahead.
All right, let's just as Douglas is fixing his side, let's public participation come in as we wait for Douglas to fix.
Long time. How are you guys?
Hi, public. Hi, sister.
Yeah. So you are seeing our situation here whereby Ruto is now so desperate for votes that he has now gone to start looking for Somali votes from refugee camps and from border towns, where he's saying now he's giving IDs without vetting because he has seen that he's not going to be able to get votes from regular Kenyans. So he now wants to have a mass registration so that he can give conditions that I'm giving you these IDs on condition that you'll vote for me. That's the understanding. And then in the areas where he knows he's unpopular, there's voter suppression. New voters cannot be able to get their ID cards. They're being taken round and round in circles. They can't get their ID cards. No. So this guy is very desperate, and some things he's doing out of that desperation to go for a second term is endangering Kenyans, because now our security is not assured with that mass influx of people who are not being vetted in any way. Already, our immigration department is highly compromised. You saw from the case of the Ethiopian man who killed some ladies. He was able to come into the country from Ethiopia and get an ID and get a driving license. Whereas at home he had been killed. He had killed about 4 people in his family. So if that's the kind of scenario we're going to be having here, we can expect a lot of problems in our country because criminals are going to come in. Others, even Al-Shabaab, are going to come in under the guise of they are being registered as voters. So what I can tell you is that Ruto does not really care about the sanctity of life, as we have seen with the abductions, the rule of law, or even the security of Kenyans. He's very unpatriotic. He's not patriotic to the country and doesn't care what happens to Kenyans so long as he remains on the seat so that he can continue looting the country dry. That's the situation at the moment. Thank
you. The public participation, I think the saddest thing is to see our country going down because of a man that we can't remove for reason I don't understand. I don't understand why he's in power, because the damage is far-reaching. All along, it's been campaigning, on top of cars all along, and Kenyans, for some unknown reason, we talk, but at the end of the day, we don't demand anything, and we expect to prosper. We expect somebody to obey the law and follow the law. When the chief leader of a nation is allowed to be James Bond. James Bond at least was doing something that are right, but this is a license to do whatever he wants, and people are doing in his name. And here we are claiming to fight. I pray that God will open our eyes to see that there are some things that are non-negotiable. You cannot compromise, because when you compromise, they come and bite you and bite you and bite you. There are no statute of limitation for crime. Okay, a crime should be pursued at every level. Not all of us have this amnesia that after a while we forget, and then want to move forward with all these piles of illegalities and crimes and all this. I mean, it is sad that Ruto is campaigning for second term. Can you hear yourself? Ruto wants to be the president of Kenya after this. I mean, it to me is ridiculous. He has done nothing. What he has done is messed the system even further. In the time when we should be making things better, cleaning our system, and he's making it worse. And you know what? Kenyans, they just accept. And so I pray that we don't. I pray that we as Kenyans can wake up from this slumber, this sleep, and be brave enough, not just knowing, because we are like Benjamin, the animal farm. Okay, we know stuff, but unable to act on what we know. And that to me is a sin that is making us just in line as Ruto. Because if you think about God, those of us who are in Christ and in God and know God, how would God judge us? What would be the judge for me and for you? I believe it will be something like, what did you do when those crimes were going on? Why would you let a young person be murdered and you are happy, enjoying your food and saying, Ruto must go, and he's not going, and yet you're benefiting from whatever's going on? Okay. So
Pastor Lala, currently there's also a situation whereby some gentlemen were kidnapped, were abducted, 4 of them from Lolongo, and then 2 of them now they were abducted in December, the beginning of December, around mid-December, and according to the mortician, the bodies were brought in like 2 days after that, after they went missing. But the family members have been coming to the same morgue since that time, almost on daily basis, and they were not getting those bodies. They were only able to access those bodies in the past week. Now, 2 of them were found, but now the other 2, they are not being, it's so frustrating, because if they are told the body is there, when they come, they are taken around in circles. They are not being shown the body which has been found. So now it has become that even the morgue is acting in collusion with these abductors, because I don't understand what is the big deal. If you have already killed somebody, why don't you release the body to the family? If the body was brought to the morgue in around December 18th, why should the family be getting it 1 month later? And yet it was logged in the morgue 2 days after they went missing, So
Actually, public. Actually, the worst part of it is I hear that 2 of them, they were at that time they're decomposed. They had to do DNA to actually confirm that is their people. They were not, once you decompose, people cannot really positively identify you. There's 2 of them from the news that I have from an inside story that they were actually so decomposed they couldn't. They had to do DNA. Can you imagine if you're going to have to do a DNA for your loved one because they've been too decomposed for having been in a city morgue for so long?
You know, the city morgue doesn't keep the body in good condition. So when it stays there for a whole month, and it was found in an area, maybe it is in a water. It was the body was in a body of water, so already it had already, absorbed a lot of water. So that is what the issue is. Although the mortician was found in an area, maybe it is in a water. It was in So the mortician was able to tell that these people were strangled. They underwent something that is akin of torture. They have a lot of broken ribs and all that. So we are living in a kind of a very confusing situation, because then now it has even gone to the situation whereby the bodies are being hidden, because how else can you explain that the bodies were logged into the morgue on 18th December, and the family has been going there not finding the bodies, then they are finding the bodies in January, late January, over a month later. So I don't know. There's so much that is going wrong. There's so much that is going wrong right now. I don't know whether you watched Jeff Koinange to see the kind of torture which the Kitengela 3 underwent, whereby they were without clothes for 32 days on a floor. 32 days on a floor without clothes. And they were eating once a day. And they I don't know. I don't know where we are headed as a country, because this is not the kind of environment that we envisioned for our country. It's not
that is so sad. That is terrible. Because
Okay, a moment. Can you guys get me now?
that is so sad. That is terrible. Okay.
Yeah, Douglas, I can hear you loud and clear on my side.
Okay, a moment. Can you guys get me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me? Is there a problem with mine or what?
No, we can hear you.
You can hear me. You see, when a country, going back to national security, when national security is compromised, then what you have is not a country, because the borders become very porous. And so all the evil people everywhere around Africa, that's the place where they can find safety, because they have their counterpart. They're able to organize and they're able to do things. So we are talking of a system that is basically growing in strength every single day, because there's a vacuum on leadership. And also there are compromised officers that they are there by name, but they don't know. The good ones actually can't do anything. So they're just there watching, because if you speak out, you're marked man, you're dead man. Because the one in charge are these evil, these killers, these assassins. They are the one controlling the show. And that's where we are as a nation, knowing, hearing the things that have been going on in Kenya. So it is actually a national disaster where we are at this moment. People are unsafe. And when people are unsafe, what happens? They go inward, or they leave if they are able to leave. And what takes place after they leave is evil, is Haman. Okay, and this is what seems to be growing. So the influence of good people keep on waning. And that's why people like Ruto need to go. They need to go yesterday. And so hearing, such stories is just, first of all, it's horrifying, because it's to know that your daughter, your son, your brother and your sister go through that kind of torture in a country. To know that the police will do nothing. Investigators don't come up with anything. and people just die like that. It's beginning to even impact our kids. Let me give you a story. This is a story out of where I am, but this kid, about 6 years old, the grandmother wanted this kid because was living in a very horrible place. Okay, drug infected, and so the mother, the grandmother, went there to get the kid. Okay, and the kid told the grandmother, if you give me a gun, then I'll move to your city, and a girlfriend. You're talking about a 6-year-old. You can see the exposure. So the gun becomes the source, of power that she's looking for. And a woman, having a girlfriend. So you can see that is a messed up child. And this is what is happening when fear is what we are breeding in our nation at this moment. Education standard goes out through the window. Feeling secure and nurturing of families and knowing that my family will be here to protect me and defend me, it's gone through the window, because when you go to bed, you don't know who's coming at night. So in terms of even that family unit is infected and impacted negatively, and that is where we are heading right now. Families are not safe because of abduction and killing. And these are happening when there's no clear leadership and there's no direction. Nobody can address these issues. At the topmost is where fingers are being pointed as the problem. So we are in trouble. Badly public participation, and but Kenyans must kind of collapse those boundaries and borders that keep us separated, so that we can have that union, that unity, and say, this is the country we want, not the one we see here, but this one where people are living in safety, and people are cared for each other, and we are a nation, because that's the way to grow. That's the way we're going to actually get what we are looking for. That's how we will build our economy. Yeah. You can't build it when you have a little tribe somewhere in the corner of Kenya somewhere, or cut everybody off. So it is ni ujinga mwingi sana ambao tumeashibu ufala gani ambao umetuingilia. So it's a sad, but my prayer is God is on the throne, and maybe the good people, let's not be afraid. Let us put our ranks, let us come together, and let us tell these people to go, because they won't go easily by vote. They don't go by vote. Voting, they have been voting all this long, but they come in by those votes. Those votes are the one that invites these evil people. So anytime you're waiting for 2027, it's a time for selling your country. So it does not help. We need the Traores, others that are motivated by sense of justice and love for their nation, to step forward, and all of us to step forward and say enough is enough, so that we can get our country back. Back to you. I think they are all gone. Public participation, back to you. Maybe you want to say something.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. All is not well. And something drastic needs to happen. Otherwise, we are going to sink. Can see now, after donations have been withdrawn, we are not sure now with SHA, if SHA itself is having a problem. Are the people who used to get the free ARVs going to be able to get them for free, or they'll have to pay for it? Or SHA will pay for it? We don't know. So, and several other like malaria medications, mosquito nets, and the like. There are so many things that right now are hanging in the balance, which are crucial for the health of Kenyans. So we are not sure what the future holds for us as a country.
Yeah, it's true, because even here in the West, calls coming from home, people that have lost. I have a niece out of a job. I've got kids that were being sponsored by some of those USAID. They're back home. It's a mess at this moment. It's a mess, and there's no other person to come in and step in, because what Kenyans must know is this: when US withdraws money, there are others who will follow suit. Okay, if they want to punish you, they'll punish so many other people. I mean, if they don't toe the line. Okay, money coming in is not just about the US aid. There are other important, funds that are also on hold simply because they are backed up by the security of the US, and the US has a muscle to threaten other people to stay out. So this is big, this is huge. And so for us, we are fighting this side so that this funding can be restored. Okay. There are legal challenges that are being considered. The Congress is trying to work on it, but the president is the key person in the nation. Okay. So we're just praying that some of them are going to be restored soon. But if it is not restored, Kenyans, there is no way we will save ourselves by being in the place where we are. As long as we love corruption, as long as we love our little tribes, as long as loving tribe is a great thing, it's a wonderful thing, but if to the exclusion of other partners, as long as we don't see ourselves as a nation, one, and take care of each other, we will continue to lag behind, and we will actually, things will get worse. If at all, they'll get better. Okay, so let us do what we can by ourselves right now. Organize. Number one is corruption. Number two is corruption. Number three is corruption. If we can address those issues, then we can have security. National security will be strengthened. People will invest in Kenya and in each other, and we will be able to feel like we are Kenyans, that we are a people, one people. And that way, we can make it on our own, because I believe that what my people called by my name shall humble themselves. In other words, there is enough here that God can use to heal all of us. Remember, Jesus fed 5,000 with only 2 loaves and 5 fish. I think maybe the other way around. All that was what he needed. In other words, honesty, faithfulness, sense of justice, taking care of those around us, willing to die for our brothers and sisters, just like those in the military, willing to die for us. Let's all stand on truth alone. We're going to save our nation. I guess public participation is just the two of us. I don't know who is here. Okay. I think they left us here. I thought Douglas is coming back. But the Kenyans, whatever you are listening to this broadcast, okay, the answer to our nation lies with you. The little light that you have, if you shine it a little brighter, and mine, I shine it a little brighter, and all of us shine it a little brighter, and forget these prosperity preachers who are always predicting and prophesying who is going to lead, who is going to guide. That's not the gospel. The gospel's job is not predicting who is going to do this and do that. that is part of witchcraft. The gospel uplift. The gospel help us to be brave and work together. The gospel is the life of Christ in us. The gospel is knowing the truth. Let the truth set us free. The gospel is building our nation, building each other. I want to draw back to the church. Some few years of the historically, the church were built. The churches in Kenya was built by missionaries, and these missionaries came from some of them from very rural places in the West, and the places they came from were not rich at all. But the little they gave was able to establish the alliances, the Macenos, the others out there, the hospitals, and many, many things that we have seen. They didn't have much. In other words, their faith motivated them to give. Okay? But then we have the modern preachers where they fly jet is about money. And yet the result that we see is minimal. It's only language, but no action. I even saw someone prophesying how the Musk, the richest man on earth, is almost a man of God, and that God is going to use him. People don't gonna. I mean, those are that's the sadness of where we have come into the church, where we glorify money. The Trumps and the others, the rich, the billionaires are the godly ones, and people can do anything in the church to get something. And this is why we are in this problem, because we have put our energy in the wrong place. Religion has to change the lives of the people. Those kids going to school, that woman who can't get access to medical services and they're dying prematurely. It's not the will of God for them to die or to be sick that way. It's the will of God for them to live healthy. The religion has to help them. So it is basically the poor and the widow and those that are in need that kind of support, not building, millionaires and you see them in the state of the art cars and planes and others. It's an embarrassment. It's not of God. You hear me? I'm a preacher, studied the Word of God, and they can challenge me theologically. A number of these groups that are out there, are embarrassment to the church. Remember, heresy is truth taken to an extreme. Heresy is truth taken to an extreme, where they take things to the extreme where God wants all of us to be rich, yet the poor are with us. And see the index, even those churches that claim to be prosperity preachers, a lot of the poor people are still trapped at the bottom. Only few people are up there enjoying the wealth. So let us go back to the gospel. Let's preach the gospel, and the gospel will tell us to get rid of people like Ruto and the rest, so that we can have a nation that honor God and that care for each other, the least amongst us. And so I pray that we will all desire to do God's will. And doing God's will means being brave, being able to speak truth to power, being able to share the love of Christ. He came to die. Interesting enough, something for a thought for all of you. The gospel, almost 60% of the gospel is about the last week of Jesus' life. Listen to that. Read the gospels. Almost 60% is about that last week of his life. Okay? A big percentage. It means the suffering that he had to go through to save us, the sacrifice that all of us may have life and have it more abundantly. In other words, he didn't come to glorify the wealth and the mighty. He came for the downtrodden. He came for a nation like Kenya, those women and men, young people, kids can have hope Right now, the government is not giving them that hope. We need to instill that hope in our people and work towards helping our people. Okay, I'll stop here. Njiru is here. Njiru, take over. Good to see you, my brother.
Okay. Bwana Lala, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nimeshukuru sana. I'm a bit lost, but I've decided to come and add weight, mostly because of the things which are happening. Na nimeona public participation alikuwa hapa na ameamua kutoroka. I don't know kwa nini. But it's okay. So nataka kuwasalimia za mwaka mpya. Some of you hatujapoweza kupatana from that time. Let me begin with US aid and the things which are happening in America. The change of guard, and are they good? Are they bad? That is what we need to ask ourselves now. Frankly speaking, Bwana Lala, many governments globally, they have been unable to deal with wastage, whereby people are spending millions of money and it is impossible to account for where that money is going. So when America and some of the people in that government start to say that we can see wastage here, and we need to sit down and we see how this money can be put in places whereby it can be of better use. For me, I don't see a problem with that. For instance, hoping that it is not propaganda, it is something which is true. If you look at some of the places where US aid has been spending money, they are not priority issues even for what America want to do. I wish US aid was working more on advancing their country interest, working more on bringing more integration between America and that country. Because frankly speaking, I do not see any value of US aid financing FGM in our countries. I don't see any reason of US aid even doing gender campaigns in our country. Those are the issues which so US aid is not dead. US aid will come. Be assured of that. But US aid will come with priority issues. If America has to finance something for Kenya, it must be something where even America itself is benefiting. But this idea whereby American money is being used in African countries or in Asian countries without a ripple effect to the American soil is wrong, and we cannot be talking about money from other countries where that country is not benefiting from the investment. So I want to know, how is US aid benefiting by financing FGM in Kenya? How is the US benefiting by financing gender campaign in Kenya? How is the US benefiting? And sorry to say, and I need to say, how is US benefiting even by financing HIV in Kenya? Is a question we need to ask. Like, is it an American problem of HIV need to be financed in Kenya? Is it an American problem? So these are issues which we have to have. And that time when America is even financing on these issues, America is like giving $5, and even the host country cannot even afford $1. And at the same time, those host countries are also engaging in plundering, in stealing of money. So let's see what African countries can do. African countries have to grow balls, and they have to start financing their own well-being. There is no way in which we can be waiting for Americans to be financing our own well-being. We do not exist because America exists. We exist because we can be able to work for ourselves. Tuko na maisha, we have our own lives, and we cannot rely on Americans. I think it is unfair for Kenyans or any African or any Asian to rely on Americans' dollars for their well-being. while the same leaders who we have in our countries are just engaging in plundering of resources. I see it demeaning. I see it even uncouth for the American citizens who are paying that money. In any case, if Americans have so much money which they want to use in other territories, those things have to be okay, it can't be. America is busy financing other nations, and some of those nations which are being financed are also doing bad things for America. They are participating in espionage, they are participating in data theft, they are participating in bad things to those places. Yes, people have to be helped, but we will help each other on bilateral arrangements, on bilateral agreement. It cannot be people are being helped simply because we know that America is the most powerful country in the world, that now America has to be helping Tom, Dick, and Harry. No, people have to be helped because there is a gap. And America has to also benefit from something. If America has to finance HIV in Kenya, America has to get something from Kenya. There's no way in which America has to spend money in Kenya and they are not benefiting on anything on that investment. It is an investment. It's an investment. So what I believe is that US aid will be structured properly. Forget about the way it was structured. US aid will be structured properly in a way in which it will have mutual consent for everybody. It will have mutual, so it will be structured because what there is here is that Africans. Let me speak for Africans because I'm an African. There is no way in which Africa, in this era, we are stealing 200 billion, and we want 5 billion. So, Lala, these are some of the things we have to ask. Actually, the amount of money we want to be given is actually minute compared to what we are stealing. We want US to give us 5 billion. We have stolen 200 billion. It doesn't add up. So let's be prudent with our own finances. Actually, Kenya can finance HIV. Kenya can finance HIV. We don't need any multilateral arrangement from another country to finance HIV. We can actually do it by ourselves. But there's no way in which people can be busy stealing from us, building big houses which cannot help. Private sector, people are just building houses and buying plots and plots, even plots which are at the middle of the town. Somebody can buy a plot worth 1 billion in Hapair. Somebody can buy a plot worth 2 billion in Hapair. And you know very well, Bwanalala, hiyo sio pesa ya kutafuta, hiyo ni pesa ya wizi. But Kenya is unable to give even 1 billion for the financing of HIV. We have to stop this over-reliance of other countries. They have their own people, they have their priorities. For your information, even America, they have their own needs. If America at this particular time, they have analyzed and they have seen that they don't need to use US aid. US aid is not solving their sovereign interest. I think it is in the best interest for Americans to do what is good for them, not what is good for us. I know what is happening, and maybe you need also to understand how the global politics is working. America wants to scale down. I want to explain a little bit here. America is scaling down its footprint of control, global control, whereby it was like a world police. Now America is reducing that. They don't see that interest in its own interest. But America is not saying that if other countries are willing to do the same financing, they are not interested. So America has not stopped China from doing some of those financing, or even to step in the gap if they want. But if these things have to be done, let's see what US aid has to do. Let's see what China aid has to do if we have to rely on their aid. But it is not good for us only to rely on American input alone, because America is reducing their footprint in the world. They don't want those over control, which have been happening, whereby they want to. And I'm also very happy, even when I heard Mr. Donald Trump say that he is not willing to finance the Haiti war. That is also one thing which I would be very happy if it is choked completely. We don't need American dollars again to be spent in Haiti. So if Mr. Donald Trump will stop that money from going to Haiti, I'm open for that. And that is why occasionally we need disruptors, occasionally, because it needed somebody like Donald Trump to come up with a methodology. And for your information, so far, Donald Trump has achieved what he had told his own populace or his own support base he is coming to do. So there are no mistakes which Donald Trump is doing. He is actually achieving what he said, and he is working on his America First agenda, which was the policy which was voted by Americans. So Donald Trump has not erred on anything, and Donald Trump is going to prioritize on America, and things are going to change according to that direction.
Wananjiru, you've spoken. I think if you let us chew some of the points that you raised at a time, so because there's so many that you're putting in there, summarize, and then somebody else can come in and.
So me nimemaliza sasa, nilikuwa nataka kusema mingi. So what I wanted to say is that America is fine. The problem is us. We should not be crying about donations and they are not coming to us. We should not be crying about US aid. If they think US aid can become a national organ in their own country, America is free to do that. So US aid is not our institution, is not our organization, and we cannot keep on crying when somebody ameamua kutumia kitu yake vile anataka. It shows that we are imbeciles. We don't understand what we need, what we want with our lives. If we understand what we want with our lives, we should own our life, and we don't exist because of another person. We exist because God created us, and we can build ourselves using our own resources. And a time to build ourselves is high. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's good to see Mama Selena there. It's good to see Ailey. Let me just make a comment, and then others can come in. Number one, I think we have to separate two issues here. There is American problem and there's a Kenyan problem. So if we mix them, somehow we lose the point. I think, Viru, you stated that you're with Trump for cutting off US aid to Africa, okay? But remember that Europe gets the most, over 17 billion go to Europe for US aid, okay? Africa, the entire Africa gets much, much less, okay? Number two, Donald Trump interest is not to maybe fund US aid to come to Africa, which is the soft power that the US uses, but it's more into the military side. That's where there are those that are contractors, major contractors, is never, actually there's no freeze on that side of the US, expenditure. So him and his friends, the millionaires, are the one who get most of that support. So the fact that Africa has been cut off does not mean it's not going to spend money, on the other side for other purposes. Okay. Number three, and somebody will come in here. Donald Trump, okay, and the Musk, whatever is that man called Musk. The man is the richest man on earth, okay? But if you go to his background, they owned mines in South Africa when Africans weren't allowed even to own anything. It was exclusively a white thing, okay? So for him to have this morality to say that a child in Kenya should die because they are trying to punish those African corrupt people when they know who are the corrupt people, okay? Yes, USAID has been misused, and so is any other fund has been misused. The question is, should it be cut off and I'm speaking as somebody, as a taxpayer, my money goes to that US aid, okay? Or should it go to fund the Ukrainian war and other Israel? Israel, they never touched anything on Israel, okay? It's never touched it. It's never touched Ukraine. The money is flowing out there. So you want me to support Ukraine and Israel when I know there are some HIV positive people in Kenya? There are those hospitals that depend on that donation from the US, okay? And we also know very well that they don't just give us and they get nothing from us. There are bases in Kenya, and there are minerals and other rich things that they get out of us. Our people come to work in the West. So it is a very mutual thing, but we look at it as if it is only, we are too dependent. Yes, there are bad elements in Kenya. The Kenyan problem is, how are we using, what we are getting? Should it be cut off? I don't know. That's another debate altogether. But we got to be fair here, or else we'll be speaking the language that Trump and that man Musk is speaking, with the language which is really to exterminate other people that they don't believe in, they don't respect. And even right now, people are crying. So supported Trump, they're crying. So I think let us be fair here and let us discuss this in soberly. I don't want to go on. Let's hear Eli. Eli, I think it's Eli, it's your turn. Back. Welcome, Eli. Hello, Eli. Eli, whatever you call it, Eli. I think it's gone. Okay. Jiru, you can say something. Go ahead.
Sawa, naweza malizia. Let me tell you, Bwana Lala, challenging a system is not easy. Status quo, people are used to status quo. People want things to remain the way they are.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% that we need to change our ways. We can't just continue on.
Yeah.
But we can't go with the narrative that is coming from.
No,
like,
I'm not even in that narrative.
I think Dr. Mongari, I think, is there talking to you, Jiro, said that HIV is global and it's a doctor.
I understand, and that's why I am explaining HIV is global, and we need to see a bigger financing from the individual countries. There's no way in which we can rely on the US as a main contributor on HIV financing. So what I'm saying is, I wish that US aid financing in Kenya, we are doing like 50-50. US is giving 1 billion, Kenya is giving 1 billion. That is what I want, but I don't want to see whereby we are only relying on one country, like we are sucking.
And I don't think so. I think the corruption is there in Kenya, but I don't think it's just relying on that. It's just taking a percentage that they are contributing. But I think other nations donate. Kenya themselves.
You see, let me tell you, Bwana Lala, this issue of US aid, whereby America withdraws and jobs are lost, and the host countries are not taking up. And you see, let me tell you, it could have been a very big statement even to America if, like, a country like Kenya, where we have US aid workers, if Kenya looked for a way of paying those people, or still maintaining those jobs, or if the work they are doing is important.
Yeah, Kenya, and I agree with you 100% that Kenya, we must pull up, because majority of that money goes to Israel.
Let me tell you, Lala, what Kenya could have done. I want to give you a solution. Kenya could have said this. Kenya, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or whoever, labor, they could have called everybody who was working with US aid. They tell them, for now, America has withdrawn its support. We don't want you people to lose your jobs. I want to show you how serious nations do. What Kenya could have done, Kenya could have renegotiated with those people. You renegotiate with them, you tell them, because the American input was here, we cannot afford what was here.
But
can you allow 1 minute? Lala, there's something I'm saying here. Can you
I
allow
hear you.
a 50% salary as we work out the issues? But there's no in which Kenya can come out in the world and say that all those jobs are gone simply because America has gone, and America is not even attempting to negotiate with these people.
Njiru, when it comes to finances, there are all other intricacies there that if it's abruptly taken, you have to rethink very quickly. And I'm not sure whether they are, sometimes, that may be a discussion that comes later.
Lala, the problem which I have is how the Kenyan government and African government have handled this issue. You cannot allow your people to suffer because America has withdrawn. You take up and you see how you can even do redeployment as a government. You can absorb them elsewhere in places where they are. You can take them as priority workers somewhere else.
The government is like telling a train that is on the speed to just stop. There's other things that can be, but it's a wake-up call.
Why
it's a
is the
wake-up
government
call.
just no? You see, Lala,
It's a wake-up call for
1 minute,
all of us to think about.
But the government of Kenya cannot just come out and say all those jobs are lost because of America. It shows that they are not creative.
Jobs are lost. Look at our economic status. Look at where we are as a people. Look at how many poor people we have. People live like, you just take a train from Nairobi to Mombasa. See, people, we live like birds. There's no difference. So we are so much down where we need the economy to grow.
But let me tell you, there is wisdom in showing guidance. You see, what these people could have done, let me tell you, even Donald Trump can respond on gaps. Let me tell you, the problem which we are having is now the government is just there and they are just saying all those jobs are lost. They are not able to come up with a balance sheet. They can come up with a balance sheet here, it's okay. US in the interim as withdrawn. Even the Kenyan government itself should also be able to give us the wastages which are being pointed out on their direction, not on the American USA direction.
It's easy to say, but you see, when a major funding has stopped, there are so many things that start happening immediately. There are things that you can't pay for. That's why a company go bankrupt. Okay, so there's a much more here. But what you're saying makes sense. But I think let's not make it so simplistic here. But what the key thing here is, let us think outside the box. Let us look at how we can fund ourselves without reliance on foreigners. But at any given time, look at Israel and others, Ukraine and others. You can always ask somebody to come and work with you and help in one way or the other, but you have something going for yourself. That's self-reliance is key, actually, to African economy, because we have everything. We have the mineral, gold, Congo, and everything. But what do? We just give them for free. Okay. So it's our thinking that we need to really.
Yeah, you see, Bonarara, the problem which I'm having is that whereby we are in a state of we are in a hostage situation because another country has decided to do something, and then now we look like as if we are in a hostage situation. It cannot be like that. Kenya has to think quickly on how they can contract. You don't need to have the same system. You can contract it through if those jobs are important. Number one, let me ask you, Lala, all those people who are working through US aid, are they important to the Kenyan system? Do we need them?
But Njiru, what you are forgetting here is this is a freeze. When you freeze funds, it means you don't have it. It means creditors will not give you what you're looking for. It's a freeze.
But Kenya has not freeze.
Equipment that need to come in. Government can't just have money.
Has Kenya freeze its contribution to this international NGOs?
Pardon?
Has Kenya freeze their contribution?
Sometimes we are educated a lot here. Ntajiru, you are a highly educated man. Our government don't have those resources we think they have. Okay, but if we're educated, we know exactly what's happening. This is a system that require a lot of things. When something is messed up on one end, it affects the entire system.
Okay,
So,
let me ask you,
so when you
Lala.
take money like a US aid, which actually when they are budgeting, it counts for certain part of the budget, and it's all
okay,
freeze it.
I understand what you say.
You actually messes. Well, this is evil. This is not right.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Then why is Africa not holding their big stamp and they negotiate? Why are they not negotiating? Donald Trump is a love of negotiation. He has just negotiated with some countries about tariffs. Why is Africa so proud that they are not willing to negotiate on how they are going to be working with US aid? Can they not negotiate? Don't they have dignitaries who they can present a case to America?
Right now, okay? So you can't handle these things overnight. I'm not for the government, of course, the Kenya government.
How comes Canada and Mexico handled it overnight, within hours, 12 hours?
But we're not talking about trade here. We're talking about
it doesn't matter. If it is a matter of emergency, Africa can talk it through AU.
We're talking about aid. We are not talking about trade here.
No. It doesn't
Trade
matter.
is
It's the
Canada
same way.
something
America
to give.
can listen. America can listen if we are able to talk with them and we tell them this is what is happening. But why are Africans not willing to negotiate about the whole issue? And they say we understand this wastage and this is how we are going to do on our part.
Well,
the American part, it's
very hard
make sure that
for us
part is spent
to
well
come
in
to
our
some
country.
kind of understanding, because I don't
Commitment.
know.
No.
Argument.
Lala, 1 minute. The problem which we have with US aid through the host countries is African governments are not willing to give commitment. And what they want to do is what Ramaphosa is doing. Like what Ramaphosa is doing, which is a wrong response. Ramaphosa is responding with pride. Where we know that we have black bigotry in South Africa. We have black bigotry, which is there. Is it not true? Even as let me tell you, even reverse racism is racism. And Buanarara, 1 minute, let me finish this point because it is important. Who doesn't know that even in South Africa, two wrongs cannot make a right? We also have black people oppressing white people in South Africa. We have it.
Njiru, let's talk about this. U.S. and Mexico have some kind of a deal, and Canada's a deal. Why? Because there was an outcry in the U.S. itself. The prices are already going up. Canadians have, in other words, the country was going down. Trump had to do it. Okay, he had to do it and do it quickly because you're going to lose. We know that. And so that's a different category. And again, these are essential goods that they need right now. Kenya, yes, can negotiate trade deals, but it's not a priority for the US. I don't think Trump is interested in talking. I'm not sure whether somebody has tried to talk to him.
No. Trump is a love of
the
talking.
one he wants to punish.
Trump loves talking.
He wants to punish this skin, that skin color. Okay? You supporters of Trump. That's his
He loves
punishing.
talking. I know him. Huyu jamaa anapenda kuongea. Let me give you the principle of Trump.
You and me.
Ila muelewi. Okay, gocha kidogo bwana Lala. Lazima niwape principle ya Trump. Unaona Trump Trump will always put you in a corner to respond. Inakuanga hivyo. Trump will always put you in a corner so that you respond. So Trump, he knows that human beings respond on extremity. That's how. He knows that very well. Human beings will respond on extremity. So what Trump expects here is we have AU. Hii mnataka kupea Raila.
Okay.
Zero.
Okay.
A moment.
Thank you. Thank you, Douglas. You're back.
Okay. Thank you, Lala, for holding it down. I lost my corrections and everything, but thank you for holding the conversation. Although I might still need to step out. Thank you. I see Njiru. Welcome to the show, and Ellie. So will you guys keep this up? Because Lala, you're disappearing.
I'm here.
Okay, so I see that you people are having a really heated conversation. So I'm wondering if will you keep up the show, Ama? Because I need to step out.
I don't think I'll stay long myself too. But Elias, I've not heard from Eli, but let's hear Eli. We have not heard his voice, his wisdom and vast knowledge.
Okay, so I'll just leave this up to Lala, and I'll be listening in. Then when
You know, I want to be here long too. I'm just waiting for something else I'm doing, so I won't be here long.
Okay. Okay. So who was speaking? Anjiru? Was it Eli?
Eli anaongea tu.
Thank you, Njeru. Guys, can you hear me properly? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was interested to know William Ruto's arithmetic when he spoke about the issue about IDs and vetting and all that in Northeastern Province, and of course how that will impact on the rest of the country. And the rigging process in Kenya is so open that these guys, they're not ashamed to say the things that they say. But I just wanted to know the arithmetic. Why is it that this time round they've boldly chosen Northeastern Province as their target? Only last week we were celebrating the court ruling of the census that we thought would, affect other parts of Kenya where census was seen as an academic fraud, and as we had expected. But then we now see that it's only a few districts in Northeastern Province that are supposed to, repeat this census. And 10 years is what is the benchmark for a census in any country. I think that's like an international or a United Nations, standard unit. It's usually 10 years. So you find that after that last census, of course, the population has changed up or down in places like Wajir, Mandera. Now you hear stories about possibility of populations being added from across the border. Me, I don't even bitterly oppose that because as an Africanist, I have no problem with Africans moving from one place to another. But for the place of integrity and using our national budget and integrity of the process, I don't know what this regime is about to do. And that's why I was asking, what's the arithmetic of what they're plotting to do? It's very, very disgraceful that the people that Kenyans have so-called entrusted have to continue behaving like this. I don't really know what else that we can do at this point in time to stop this. Thank you.
Thank you, Eli. Although your audio is not quite very clear, and we've lost Lala stepped out. 02 has stepped out. So I guess it's just me and you. So I don't know if I've not been here for a while, so I'm not sure if you've been here for the conversation. But I need to begin wrapping it up. So if you have anything else to say.
No, I was listening to the conversation. People were talking about the United States of America and how Donald Trump every day is issuing, threats and declarations and stuff like that, and how it's going to affect Kenya. But we've been discussing this thing the last 3 days, and in fact, even yesterday, Donald Trump threatened to withdraw America from the United Nations. Now, this guy is either a maverick or a complete lunatic, I think he's seeking attention, he's making headlines, and it's working for him. But you see, every other day he has been making some really mind-boggling, declarations. For example, saying that America will take over, Gaza, and what they've done is they pulled that statement back, and they're saying now that the people of Gaza will temporarily leave Gaza while America is building Gaza. So you wonder, this war was actually something planned. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. But this is why sometimes I think that people over-rely on this thing called the superpower country, because people now look at America as the solution of their problem. This is a very, very disheartening thing to do. And that is why I continue, and many people continue to celebrate the leader of Burkina Faso, who is doing a sterling job compared to 50-something other African nations. We celebrate Ibrahim Traore. He's the most guarded president in Africa because his life is under threat. People in Burkina Faso are trying to kill him, and the external forces are trying to kill him because he's standing for something that other African leaders are afraid of doing. For example, withdrawing troops of foreign forces. So for me, I cannot say anything beyond that, because I know that if a sample of Ibrahim Traore was followed, that is the only way Africa can survive. Thank you.
Thank you, Eli. Thank you, Eli, for that. And I think that's a good place to just end it. Earlier, I had public participation. I had Mato. I had Njiru just now. I had Lala. Thank you all for coming in. Lala is back. We will just listen to what he has before I end it. Lala.
I don't think I got Ailey all of his statement, but I think I saw some comment there, especially one talked about Mexico and the U.S. Those are the closest trading partners with the U.S. So anything will affect, everybody. So it was actually in the interest of Trump himself, of course, plus Mexico and Canada to negotiate very quickly. And I think they knew that. So it is the union were on it, and the people that basically it's going to could have been a disaster if they stayed it longer. So it's different from the USA, money to Kenya. But as Japheth stated, I think in the commentary that Kenyans are corrupt, and I think that's the other issue where we get these funds, but we don't do what they're supposed to do. Okay, to like the Israelis, they get theirs, and we can see what it does. They're able to produce things they're selling to us, while ours, the little we don't get much when you think about it. We don't get a lot. As a matter of fact, even Kenya gets very little, but because our economy is not that big, it covers quite a chunk of what we need to government to work. So we need it, but on the other hand, we must use what we have. We have a lot that we are giving. In fact, we are giving more than what we are getting, but we are giving it for free. That's the problem. Whether that's entire Africa. Look at Congo, the richest place on earth. That's how God has blessed it with all the minerals underneath. But look at the quality of life of our people in Congo. Look at those when you watch on your television, seeing those European who have been working, their mercenaries. You know what they do there. They are there to guard those mines, and those precious, those well endowed, resources of Africa. Is not for our benefit. We just a spare part. They come when they need to get it, and they go and use it, and they're able to use those machineries to get what they want, and they go and display wealth in the West and do the thing they do. Yet we are asking for donation, which is really pathetic. We should be able to develop our own and be actually the people that control, the big resources of this world. But we are not doing it. So yes, we got to blame ourselves. But at the moment, we are talking about at the moment, those kids, those sick people, and remember it is George W. Bush that saved Africa from death, HIV death. That's the largest amount of money that was given, that many of us are alive because that money came, okay? But clearly, we got that money. We got it in Africa. Why can't we use it? Why do we have to wait for somebody else to do it for us? But for the time being, it will be wrong for us not to demand some answers, because there are people depending on that U.S. aid, to survive before we get something else. If they told us that we'll go gradually, then we would have to come up with other resources. But this came abruptly. We didn't know. All of a sudden, things are cut. Yeah, it's like you're telling me if they cut electricity, you can have light. No, you won't have it. You have to begin to plan how to get that light. And that's what I think is at stake here, that things have been done quickly, abruptly, yet other places were not cut. They didn't cut Ukraine. They didn't cut Israel. They didn't cut, I think, part of Egypt because of certain interests. In other words, this is strategically used. That's why I disagree with Njiru, scolding Africans, but exalting Trump. What is done? No, it's done evil. It's not right what is done. But at the same time, we have also been doing wrong for a long time. So the truth has to be told. Thank you. Back to you, Douglas.
Thank you, Lala, for that. So I'm going to just play a clip, then we'll come back and Eli and Lala will give us their closing remarks. Then I'll end the show. So let's just take a look at this last bite. Then when we come back, we'll take the final submissions and we'll close it.
Now, foreign aid freezes by the U.S. government continue to attract harsh criticism globally. Former head of USAID's Africa Bureau, Kate Knopf, has termed the move by President Donald Trump's administration inconsiderate, unprecedented, and one that bears a significant impact to thousands of vulnerable lives globally. According to Kate, Trump's directive, which was issued through an executive order, raises several legal questions. Her sentiments come at a time when over 260 staff working under USAID-funded programs in Makueni County are staring at job losses by the end of the month. Safina Chengoma reports.
The global impact of the foreign aid freezes by the U.S. government continues to get worse, with the fate of thousands of staff working under USAID-funded programs remaining uncertain. Over 260 employees in Makueni County are staring at job losses, and 10 health facilities may close down should the U.S. government fail to rescind its decision.
Beginning end of last month, they are all supposed to be home, and they are catering on very serious issues on TB, HIV, and malaria.
According to Kate Almquist-Knopf, who served at the helm of the U.S. government foreign aid agency for close to a decade, U.S. aid has been caught up in a political fight seeking to restructure the federal government at the expense of thousands of vulnerable lives.
They are trying to reduce the overall deficit. They're trying to find savings for tax cuts. Unfortunately, I think some misinformation and misunderstanding about foreign assistance makes U.S. aid on the front line of some of the efforts.
And while it's a normal procedure for any new administration to restructure its foreign policy, Kate says that the level of retraction by Trump's administration through the abrupt freezes of work and funding suggests a catastrophic future for U.S. aid, its staff and beneficiaries.
That is a fairly ominous signal that may be the intention. And of course, we've seen some comments from Elon Musk, who is leading this so-called Department of Governmental Efficiency, saying that he and the president have agreed on shutting down U.S. aid.
Thousands of Americans staged protests at the state capital, Washington, D.C., and some cities in defense of the 6 decades U.S. aid mission, which they accused Trump's administration of plotting to dismantle. Kate describes this as a game-changing moment and a shift from the U.S. foreign policy history, a history she hopes future administrations will relook and retrace.
Only Congress can change a federal statute. That's a pretty basic principle of our rule of law. And so if the agency exists in the statute, it's called the Foreign Assistance Act, then Congress must change that statute if they want to downsize it, if they want to reorganize it, if they want to eliminate it altogether. So it's highly controversial what the Trump administration is seeking to do to U.S. aid through an executive order.
Kate has also expressed strong reservations with the involvement of billionaire Elon Musk, who is leading the Department of Government Efficiency within Trump's executive.
I think a bit unsettling, more than a bit, to be honest, in terms of just the breadth of the change that they're attempting to make in the federal workforce across a number of agencies. As I said, I don't think what's happening to USAID is just solely because of what USAID does. I think it is part of this broader push to overall reduce the size of the federal government and the budget. And he's just been given extraordinary space to do that.
And on allegations of the agency's involvement in corruption.
USAID is not a corrupt organization. It has extremely high standards of accountability and multiple oversight mechanisms. In fact, its requirements are so high that it can be difficult sometimes for local organizations to receive funding directly because of all of the requirements for oversight.
Kenya risks losing 80 billion shillings annually disbursed by the United States to fund critical programs in health, education, agriculture, food security, economic development, clean energy, among others. Safin Achieng Omar, Citizen TV.
Lala?
Douglas, Elon Musk is in charge of that work. The interesting thing here is that the target for that administration is USAID, and these are services going to the poor of the poor. But the SpaceX or people like Musk that get billions of US, money had not even touched. So this is a class warfare, okay? The billionaires will get their tax breaks, and the poor man will be the one getting the blunt, getting the pink slip. So as we look at this, analyze this, let's have those in our mind that this is government administration that is geared towards the reach, towards the north. Okay, and we have seen it here, where what is coming to continent of Africa is the one that has got an okay, which affect most of our people. And Mr. Musk, who is supposedly from South Africa, we can trace his heritage to some, I think, some British and other, Dutch, lineage, and who benefited immensely from the colonial system, where Black people owned nothing called the mines. Our job was to mine for them, and their wealth is built on that. And so for him to be the moral leader, and you had USAID, the standard for it, how do people get it? Yes, it has its own challenges like any other where administration is involved. Each one comes at their own priority. That's with everything. The politics plays a role to an extent in almost everything. But whatever's happening now is not moral. It is immoral to target helpless population. First, it is the immigration, targeting those who are voiceless, when actually even Trump's own family, his own mother, came in 1952. I think it's not 32 or something like that, and it was an illegal. Okay, so if, for example, they decide to those who are not born in the U.S. to lose their citizenship, or they can't have, then they have to go back, and people like Trump may not even be the citizens of the U.S. Okay, so only the probably Native Americans and African American would be the true owners of this continent. So this is a continent. This is a country that enjoys a wide range of nationalities. We all came here driven by the idea that in America things are possible, that you can come here and do something about your life. People are now being arrested and chained like robbers, when actually what they've done is they have overstayed in the US, which is a civil case. It's not a criminal case, okay? But he has been able to criminalize them, when actually majority of those white people came the same way in the United States. So let us be fair. Let us treat each other fair. And thank God, most Americans are horrified with what's going on. So we must stand together and say the truth, do that which is right. And that's what God has called us to do here on the face of the earth. Thank you very much. Thank you, Douglas. Thank you, all the leadership of this program. And may God bless you. May God bless Kenya. May God bless the USA. May God bless people all over and keep us safe. Back to you, Douglas.
Thank you, Reverend Lala, for that submission and that final remark, and for shedding some light on what is going on in America. For us back at home, we're just the receivers of the heat that is coming from the Trump administration. Thank you, Reverend Lala, and all those who've been here. I'd already mentioned you. I'm not gonna go back to that. We're just going to be following up on this story, see how this plays out, and we'll be bringing you all the news and as they happen, and we will be bringing all these discussions as we look into what is unfolding in the world and how it's affecting us benefits Kenyans here back at home. Well, thank you, everybody. My poll question up tonight was, are we officially back to the campaign trail? 56 votes at the end of the poll. 89% of you say yes. 11% of you say no. Thank you, everybody. Those of you who've been engaging with me in the comment section. I had Njiru who was in the studio, then dropped out, but has been in the comment section. He says we don't have leverage on any trade that US relies on for Kenya to pressure it to negotiate. But we are a strategic geopolitical partner on this side of the sub-Sahara. I think that's enough to negotiate with them. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. I have relatives who depend on antiviral medications for HIV. That's Japhed Mongare. I'll just take one more comment. The West depends so much on the riches of Africa in terms of mineral, like the one in DRC that are used for electronics. I think he's talking about coltan. The Kenyan government can afford, but the will is not there. Putting in mind the origin of the disease was not discovered in Africa. It's foreign. I think that was from an earlier conversation when I'd lost my my connection. But thank you for all those who've held the conversation this far, and I believe it's a good place to end the show. Good night and God bless.
Are you looking for video live streaming services? You want your church services to be on air? You do not know where to market your goods and services? At Sound Candid Talk, we deliver the best live stream services for your events, product and service launches, conferences, weddings, and lives. Reach on us today.